We'll start with roll call. Mr. Nasir,
Here.
Mr. Perkins,
Here.
Ms. Hallam.
Here.
Ivashevic here, Ms. Innamorato.
Here.
Mr. O'Connor.
Here.
Mr. Kraus.
Here.
Judge Bigley.
Here.
Ms. Griffin.
Here.
Thank you. And we will start with community corrections reports, passages to recovery.
Good evening, Board. Gregory Price, PRICE, Director of Treatment at Passage to Recovery. Our current census is 45 per the report date. We had a total of 50 clients, 13 new, 6 exited the program, with 5 of those being successful, 0 use of force and self-harm to report this month. 1 positive COVID test for staff. And last month, Councilwoman Hallam asked me about medical. We don't need actual permission from the jail, just notification to the jail.
Thank you.
And that's it.
Questions, Ms. Hallam?
Yeah, what about overdoses?
No overdoses.
Did you say that? I'm sorry if I meant
No overdoses.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Renewal.
Good afternoon, Adam Zach, Case Manager Supervisor, reporting for renewal, ZAK, last name. We currently have 78 total clients in the county jurisdiction. The breakdown is 60 males, 5 females in the work release program, and 11 males and 2 females in our drug and alcohol program. For exited individuals in the past month, we've had 9 revocations. Those are persons returned due to violations or revoked per the courts. We had 7 escapes, and we had 26 successful completions. Our employment rate is currently 69%, which on a positive note, it jumped up from 53% from the last month. COVID cases, we have 0. Fatalities, 0. Non-fatal overdoses, 0. Self-harm incidents, 0. And use of force incidents, 1. In regards to emergency personnel and ambulances being dispatched to our facilities, in the past monthly period, we had 11 ambulances to the Boulevard of the Allies and 16 to 2nd Avenue. Now the breakdown for our county population, that was 3 occurrences for our county reentrance on the Boulevard of the Allies and 5 for our county reentrance on the 2nd Avenue facility. And then finally, with the primary election coming up on the 23rd of this month, we've been informing the men and women that they are permitted to vote if they are eligible. They can go in person or vote by mail. Whether they exercise that right or not is solely up to them, but they certainly have that option, and we'll continue to let them know about it. I'm going to pass the podium to Ms. DeTore.
Hello, Elena DeTore, Director of Clinical Services at Renewal. I'm talking specifically about our inpatient program. Sorry about my voice. Inpatient had in February and March had 16 discharges, 14 of those successful. 1 reentrant on methadone for right now that's doing really well. We have another reentrant that was really struggling with cravings and just having a lot of issues, and we were able to initiate Suboxone with him, and he is doing really well, so just happy to report that. AA meetings are being conducted on the floors. We have a former coworker that has a wonderful home group that's helping us with getting a list of speakers for us, and aside from today and a couple of the other random days, the weather had been a bit nicer, so we're getting everybody out with recreational activities and things like that. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Is this the end, or I was just going to ask all the questions for them at the
Why
end.
don't we wait for the conclusion of renewals report? and then
That's the
we'll-
conclusion.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Just as
Sorry.
me.
Ms. Hallam?
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. My first question is just a little bit of detail about the use of force. Like, can you tell us what led up to that? What force was used? Obviously, I don't need any identifying information about the person.
Last month, we had a very unfortunate situation where one of the case managers was assaulted by a reentrant in his office. Fortunately, there was a security monitor in the area, and he was able to pull the individual out of the office, and that didn't restrain him, didn't put him in cuffs or anything like that.
And does a person get ejected from the program for that?
Yes.
Okay. Next question is, you talked about people who are eligible to vote. How do you determine that?
We sit down with them, and they call up that there's a 1-800 number, and they find out if they're eligible or not. A lot of them know if they do, so a lot of them are already understand if they're eligible or not. But the deadline to register to vote is this coming Monday, so we're assisting them to get registered also.
And do you do any education around like who in Pennsylvania is eligible to vote? Because I know, in my experience talking to people, they really don't actually know. They've always been told their whole lives maybe, oh, I have a felony conviction, or I'm incarcerated, I'm not allowed to vote. So I was just wondering if you guys say to them, hey, you might actually be able to vote.
We posted up flyers on the units.
Okay. And then my last question is, I was speaking to someone in jail this past week who his judge approved him to go to alternative housing, and I guess there's a way that they message you guys on the tablet, like they can message alternative housing on the tablet, and I'm just wondering, are those messages going straight to you, or is it someone in the jail intaking the alternative housing?
I don't get those messages. I could speak to our intake department. I don't want to speak for them. I don't think they get those messages either.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it's someone from the jail's alternative housing department.
Okay, this person was specifically worried because he, I guess, was kicked out of renewal in like the 90s or something, a very, very, very long time ago. And I was wondering if renewal has any policy about, hey, the judge okayed this person to go there. Would you say, no, we won't take them because of something that happened like 30 years ago?
I can't speak for I don't know what the individual did, but for 30 years ago, I'm sure they'd be able to come back.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering generally, in what circumstances would you say that someone who a judge cleared to come to renewal couldn't come?
So for instance, if someone assaults one of our staff members or has a grossly significant violation, then they would not be permitted to return. But most of the time, even if they escape or they get revoked, they are permitted to come back over a period of time.
Awesome, and what is that period of time?
I'll have to report back next meeting. I think it's 1 year for revocation and 2 years for escape, but I will double check on that.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you. Electronic monitoring.
Good afternoon, Board. Steve Eswine, ESSWEIN for the Probation Office. So for this reporting period, we had 633 individuals that were on the bracelet. During that time, 88 had successfully completed their sentences and 6 were removed for violations. So, any questions? Yeah.
Did you have anybody who was on electronic monitoring who either died or overdosed or anything of the sort?
Nobody that had died. I don't believe we have anybody overdosed, but it's not something we really track.
Would you track it if they missed a check-in because, or left the house outside of their window because they were in the hospital for an overdose?
We would get notification of that, so it wouldn't be necessarily tracked, but it would be,
Report.
it wouldn't be held against them.
Okay.
Right. Our drug court may track it, but I didn't have any reports of any overdoses that, or any deaths in drug court during that time period.
Okay, thank
Okay?
you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, next is Trinity Services Group. The warden had asked Trinity to come to answer questions. I moved them ahead of the warden's report just as a professional courtesy, so they didn't have to sit through the whole meeting.
Great,
So
thank you.
I don't know if you have a report or you just want to answer questions.
Just a little bit of information.
Okay.
My name is Matt Pyro, P-I-R-O. I'm the Regional Vice President for Trinity Services Group. I cover the East Region, which is 14 states from North Carolina to Maine. We have 93 units in the East Region. We serve about 29 million meals annually. Trinity as a whole, the whole company, 376 units nationwide in 40 states, serving over 300 million meals annually. We were founded in 1990, just to give you some history on us. We're happy to be here at Allegheny County and certainly appreciate our partnership, which began back in June, towards the end of June of 2023. So we also have our regional dietitian here, Jennifer Sowers. So let her introduce herself.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As Matt said, I am Jennifer Sowers, S-O-W-E-R-S, and I am the East Region dietitian for Trinity. And I'm here to answer questions.
Questions? Ms. Allen?
Hi, first of all, thank you so much for coming.
Quite welcome.
I believe we were asking it of the previous jail administration for a very long time, and so I'm just so happy that you guys are here. The first question I have is about who determines the schedule by which the meals are delivered to the pods? Is that something that Trinity does, or is that something that the jail tells you, make sure all of the breakfasts are out by this time, lunches are out by this time, dinners are out by this time?
The jail sets the schedule.
Okay. And is that how it works? Like they give you a time that a meal has to be delivered by?
I'm going to defer, but I would assume, that's not really my scope as the dietitian, but I'm going to assume, yes, they usually tell us it has to be out by a certain time unless something happens.
Okay. And then who is responsible for keeping a log of when the meals are delivered? Is that Trinity or the jail?
Trinity? Trinity.
Trinity, okay.
I'm asking Rocco, he's our food
Oh,
service
no, that's
director.
cool. I'm glad you brought the whole team. I
Yeah.
really do appreciate all Ian's being here. Okay, so Ian have a log of what time meals left the kitchen? What does the log look like, or what time they arrived?
Do we write it on our production records?
We write it on our sheets, and then when they get to the pod, we don't know when they're actually delivered.
So each cart, I'm assuming, has a sheet on it, and they'll sign it out then that they received and what time.
Okay, and then does the jail receive that after it's done?
They keep it.
Okay. And then I know that generally I just have some questions about specifically like specialty meals. I don't know if that's the right terminology for, if they're on a medical diet for a specific reason, or a religious meal, or vegetarian, something like that.
Okay.
Can you just talk about how you determine what goes into those meals and what the variety looks like compared to the variety of the regular meals?
Sure, I can do that. What I start with is our general population menu, and then I try to meet at some point in time, whether through in-face or email or through somebody, to get a list of the medical diets that the facility would like to honor. And then I write a diet spreadsheet for those. So I make that for every meal. And it follows as closely as possible to the general population menu, because I don't know if you're ACA accredited or not, but that's just something we try to do so they're not getting special foods. So if I can make it work in a medical diet, it will be on that tray. So what we have come up with here at Allegheny County, we offer a cardiac, which is a low sodium diet. We offer a bland diet. We have a pregnancy nutrition support diet, gluten restricted, a low lactose. We have a renal diet, a no soy, and 2 different diabetic options here that that I have written diets for. And then as far as religious diets, we have vegetarian. Do we honor vegan? And vegan. And kosher.
And then,
I didn't finish all the questions. I'm sorry.
sorry. No, go
So
ahead.
what I do then is I take, we put all of our menus in an analysis program, and then I write those diets based on that program. So First, I use knowledge from education about just cardiac, like if it's biscuits or cornbread, because those are higher sodium items, I would automatically take those off. And then hot dogs, they would be removed with something else. And once I get those written out, I look at the analysis of that to see where they fall as far as calories, sodium, fat, so they do meet their nutritional needs.
Okay, and so does a document exist somewhere that maybe we could see about what the different, I don't know if guidelines is the proper word, like I would like to know what guidelines are followed for a pregnant person's diet, like all the ones you listed
Yes.
basically.
We have, Trinity has a diet reference manual that we have a copy of and medical has a copy of, and we actually have a brand new one coming out this month. So I'm sure that's something we can get for you.
I would really, really appreciate that.
How's the best way to get it to you?
Yeah. Email or, I mean, it's up to the rest of the board what they think is best.
Is it electronic or paper?
Electronic. Either one, but electronic that's the way I usually email it. If somebody wants to give me an email.
Okay, we'll give you an email.
Oh, all documents are available at the jail.
Oh, so the jail can send that to us?
Oh, sure,
Oh,
yes.
awesome. That
Yeah.
can be part of our documents that we're working
Sorry.
on getting right now.
Yes, they have copies there.
So how does it work? Like, how do you interface, or maybe even Trinity as a whole, but specifically you, how do you interface with the staff at the jail?
I am not here very often. I live in Virginia, and I cover the same region as Mr. Pyro. So I have 90 accounts. So that's why I make this diet spreadsheet, as we call it, so there aren't questions, so they know exactly what to put on each tray. And we meet with medical to set those up, so we're meeting the medical diets. If there is one that's ordered that the staff does not know what to serve, they will contact me.
Okay, to make sure that, like the Trinity staff, to make sure that Trinity staff can comply with the orders.
Or medical, either one. I mean, they have my information. They'll email me or call and say, the Trinity staff might say, we received a diet for, I don't know, somebody's allergic to tomatoes and I don't know what to serve them.
Right.
So then I would write them a diet for that.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And then is the jail under any obligation to like follow that? Is there any check that you do to make sure these are the guidelines that I established, the jail is or isn't following them?
I do not check those.
Okay. So you just basically give the suggestion and hope that
I give them the information and then it should be on the tray, yes.
it should be on the tray. Okay.
We train our supervisors to check all diet trays, so they make sure those are correct.
So that's part of because I have met, who, by the way, they are all awesome. Every time I go into the kitchen, all the Trinity staff is very, very great and helpful. So I want to put a plug in for them.
Thank you.
So it's up to them to look at what's being served and make sure that it's in line with the guidelines that you
Yes,
established.
they will have this sheet on the tray line, and it tells you exactly what goes on there.
Okay. What is that sheet?
This is the diet spreadsheet that I create.
Oh, yeah, I really want that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then I guess the last question that I personally have is there a visual inspection conducted by a Trinity staff member at the jail of each tray that goes out or each cart
Oh,
that
yes.
goes out? Visual inspection?
Yes, there should be a supervisor every meal checking the trays. We should be the final stop on all those trays.
Perfect. Thank you so
You're welcome.
much.
Anybody else?
I just have one quick
Sure,
question. What standards do you follow, like FDA or?
We follow ACA standards. We follow, as far as medical diets, we follow the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics
Okay.
for medical diets. We meet the DRIs, which are the dietary reference intakes for a general population of the jail for those diets, for the menus.
And where are those federal guidelines?
Yes, those are federal.
State by state?
Those
So
are federal.
you're federal all across, so.
We meet the federal guidelines, and then in this county specifically, the jail, in their contract, has specific guidelines to follow in addition to all of those, which are more stringent.
Okay, so basically there's a federal one you follow, and then if local, not just talking here, but like if the state had something, you'd have to follow all
Correct.
of those. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Griffin?
One good question. I've been asked by community members about the inclusion of fresh fruits and vegetables. Is that something that you're able to deliver, and to what extent you do that?
I'm going to defer the fresh fruits to the jail because in my experience, those can be a safety hazard at times. They make Pruno, hooch, alcohol with those, or they stop up the toilet. I mean, it depends on, we mainly serve canned fruits. Now, I know the pregnancies, we do fresh fruit for the pregnancies here. Otherwise, it's canned, just for mainly safety issues.
Okay, and vegetables? Same
Vegetables,
thing?
frozen. We don't really do fresh, no. Okay.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question. Again, thank you for being here.
welcome.
On our last visit to the jail, I saw the kitchen for the first time. I met a representative of Trinity, and the kitchen was actually very clean, to my surprise, and overall pleasant experience. So thank you for what you do. But you did say that Trinity is responsible for visually checking every meal, making sure it meets all of the requirements. There's somebody in here who came and tested or gave public comment that multiple times he had medical restrictions on his diet. And one time in particular, he received just a tray of applesauce. That was all that he got. So is that a failure of Trinity, or is that a failure of the jail?
I really don't know the answer to that, because you have to go back. I need to see the medical diet that was ordered. We follow all medical orders, so if they ordered applesauce only, we're going to do that. I mean, I don't order diets, we just follow orders. I can't imagine that being it did, but I don't know.
This individual can't answer a question about a person getting a meal during a time period.
But that
have
wouldn't,
a-
I wouldn't consider it an adequate diet. I mean,
Okay, I guess
I can't imagine why we would put that on there without a medical order.
Right. All right, I got you. I appreciate it. I'm not sure, bro. He's going to speak on it. Let's see.
He's going to speak. He's here, I guess.
Yeah.
I have one more.
Okay, Ms. Hallam.
Just one more, because he reminded me of something. So a report that we got when we were at the jail, I guess last week, was that there was, and I heard this from a staff member and an incarcerated individual about this specific incarcerated individual. He had a special diet. I don't remember what it was, but on numerous occasions, this guard had to call down to the kitchen because his special diet wasn't being honored. He was given a regular tray. Is that a jail staff failure, or is that a Trinity thing that maybe we could work with them on?
I think that would have to be looked at a little closer, because we would want to see the actual diet order, how it was written, and to see if we got it wrong or what. I really don't know how to answer that without more information.
Okay. Is there a way that I can get you more information about this specific instance, or just in general? I guess I want to understand when I get reports, because this wasn't the first time. This was just the first time that it was substantiated and happening numerous
So,
times.
just so you know what we do, we just follow medical orders, okay? So I would start with that,
Okay.
to say what the medical diet order was.
Or religious, right?
Or religious,
Yeah,
correct,
okay.
yes.
So, okay.
So follow that, and then, if it was incorrect, yes, you can follow up with the kitchen and see what's going on, or whoever,
And is there a documentation somewhere of those checks of the person? I know you have the log of when it goes out, but is there documentation that exists that says, hey, we checked this cart, so that if there is an error on the cart, we can go back and say, oh, well, this is the person who checked it?
Rocco?
Trinity staff only signs off on it when it leaves. I don't know what happens when it gets up on the fly.
But, so our staff, I think, mainly just approves that the trays are there, and we have the special diets will be listed separately. So they're on there, and they'll just make sure they're there, but they don't look at each tray and count it off, no. If they don't check off each tray.
Okay. And I just want to shout out Rocco, too, because I know he really is holding down the fort down
He
there.
is,
So,
yeah.
yeah, he is always there and present and helpful whenever we're there. So I want to make sure he gets his recognition, too. Thanks.
Thank you very, very much
Quite welcome.
for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Okay. Public comment, Kina James. Oh, sorry.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Thank you.
That was so helpful. Why can't we get that all the time? I want the tablet people next. That's so cool. We've been asking that for 4 years.
Look how much
It's a
we've
different company.
accomplished.
I know.
Skeena James, Judge of Ashbeck.
Sorry.
My name's Keenan James, James, the organizer for the Alliance for Police Accountability. I just first wanted to come up here about an individual that's at the Allegheny County Jail right now. His name's Walter Ferguson. I had originally reached out to Bethany to go and see him. He's on crutches, and I've been speaking to his mom. I haven't had an opportunity to speak to him directly, but his mom goes and sees him every week. I spoke to her today, right before I came to the Jail Oversight Board meeting. She says that he has torn ligaments in his leg. I know that he got an MRI on March 6th, I believe it was, but I would really like for somebody to check out his situation because it seems like he's in excruciating pain. So again, his name's Walter Ferguson. Okay.
We'll ask the liaison to check on that.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
And yeah. And thank you, Bethany, for going to see him. I appreciate that. Also, I want to say thank you to the board. I was here last week for the public working session. I appreciate, you all working towards making sure the solitary confinement law is being done correctly and being followed correctly. I do get a ton of calls from the jail. I just want to repeat our hotline number. Anybody who's incarcerated at the jail can call us for free. The phone number is 412-708-5200. I'm saying it again because I've gotten so many, I guess they've been watching. I've gotten a ton of phone calls since last month's meeting. I get phone calls all the time. I guess they just don't know that it's free. They don't have to use their money to call us. And yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate our upcoming meeting with the jail administration, our upcoming meeting with the county executive next month. I'm trying to get a meeting with the jail oversight board because we have the hotline at the jail, we would like to work with you all to create a better process. I don't want to have to, I know we have the liaison. She's one person, I do have Warden, Dady, Thomas, and Clark's information as well. But I think it's important for you all to know what's going on as well as the people who oversee the jail. And we get a ton of calls. I'm happy that there are a lot less calls about getting beat up and things like that. But
Time's up.
all right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I just ask for that phone number to be repeated, the hotline phone number, please?
Yeah, it's 412-708-5200.
5200.
And they'll talk to me directly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sharon Bonavoglia. Bonavolia, I'm sorry. I get it right sometimes, and then I screw it up the next time.
She's just there to throw you.
Sharon Bonavolia. Oh, don't start that timer yet. I'm spelling my name. It doesn't start till after that.
Okay, I make the rules. Go ahead.
Well, we talked about that, and you actually said you would not push the timer till people
Please
were done
continue.
spelling their name.
Please continue.
Sharon Bonavolia, Bonavoglia. I timed it. If you start right now, I'm under 3. I'd like to thank Judge Ivashevic and the new citizen members of the board, along with administrators from the jail, for meeting with Penn. We appreciate the time to get to know each other and look for ways that we can work together to improve the conditions in the jail and to keep people out of the jail that require help, not incarceration. I would also like to strongly encourage the board to visit the jail in your capacity as members of this board, well more than the 2 times required annually. Hearing from residents of the jail, seeing the processes of the jail in real time and at differing times can only help in your work on the board. As you complete your work on the bylaws, I want to discourage you from limiting public comments. I am concerned about rejecting the ability of a public speaker ceding their time to someone else. I would hate for a family member speaking on behalf of a loved one who is in jail, who might need a bit more time to finish their comments, to be cut off without the ability of someone else who is scheduled to speak to offer that family member some or all of their time to finish. Listening to the public, whether it's from concerned groups and citizens, and especially if it's from anyone speaking on behalf of an incarcerated individual, is a significant part of your work and not something that should be diminished because of your busy schedules. We're all busy, and all of you signed up for this position. This is what democracy looks and sounds like. And now, if you're able, please rise for the reading of the names of the dead. Richard Lenhart, Robert Blake, Cody Still, Daniel Pastoric, John Brady, Martin Buchek, Robert Harper, Vinkley Harris, Justin Brady, Paul Allen, Roger Millspaugh, Paul Spisak, Gerald Thomas, Jerry Lee Ross Jr., Victor Joseph Zelenek, Ronald Andrus, Anthony Tolada, William Spencer, James Washington, Damon Leroy Kayes, Tim Menino, Douglas Bonomo, Zachary Som, Nicole Barufi, and Richard Shuba II.
Bailey Brown.
Bailey Brown, Etna Borough, greetings. It's my birthday, and I felt I should spend it with you after the recent work session. Thank you. I genuinely felt we were off to a good start with this year's board. However, I walked away doubting. Please slow down on these bylaws. We understand you are eager to establish a working order here, us too. We understand your schedules are busy, ours too. We'd rather see it done well from the jump rather than trying to amend them once set in place, especially if potential loopholes are left in for future jail administrations to abuse. There was an air of let's be done with it rather than allowing for a thorough democratic process. In the spirit of course correction, I am asking you to not vote today, but continue discussion while integrating public concerns and allow us to read the hard copy we have just now received. The work session should have allowed public comment. The lack of accountability was glaring regarding the Sunshine Act, which members agreed had been intentionally applied to that session. Personally, I drove in, paid for parking, and sat here masked with the understanding that comments would be open. I was frustrated, to say the least. The notion that nothing would have gotten done felt false when it was clear that not enough time had been allotted to get through the agenda period. A little bit of directly addressing the crowd would have helped us feel valued, but you did not. Today, Philadelphians protest the appointment of a special prosecutor superseding the jurisdiction of their duly elected DA. Please do not disenfranchise us also. I feel strongly that the president judge or any judge should not be the de facto chair. The chair should be any member of this board who feels up to the task and receives a quorum vote. The board's officers should be ratified every year. As precedent, I would cite that the JOBs of both Delaware and Bucks counties currently are chaired by county electeds. Additionally, public comment should always be prioritized. Didn't public comment used to be 5 minutes? And you should embrace your power to rein in the jail administration when necessary. No to illegal designees. There has also been a false premise on this board that judges are impartial and apolitical, and though this would ideally be true, it's not always. This is not to insult you or become your enemy, but because I want this board to be egalitarian and not a repeat of Judge Halsey's tenure. It brings to mind Autistic Abby's brilliant reflection on respect that some hold it to mean, treat me like an authority and I will treat you like a person, while others understand it to mean, treat me like a person and I'll do the same. While I recognize Mr. Crumb's effort and legal experience in drafting these bylaws, I feel he spoke callously and disrespectfully during the work session. One example when he exclaimed from the audience that Ms. Hallam was out of order. That's not his place, and you all know that. Someone said if we acted like him, we'd have been tossed out, and several of us agreed. His behavior frankly left such a bad taste in my mouth that it made me wish the board would throw out his draft and start again with someone who appears to carry less bias. Finally, to Judge Bigley and to all guest speakers, please use your microphone. 60 to 100 people regularly watch online. Thank you.
Thank you. Daryl Palmer Jr.
Hello, I'm Daryl Palmer Jr., Palmer. I have a little something I want to read today. It's called What's the Procedure? Nobody here knows the procedure on requesting special diet and the channels you have to go through to get it, except for maybe Angler. No, excuse me. Definitely Angler. What's the procedure when you wake up almost in a seizure and when you beg your son? What's the procedure when you wake up almost in a seizure and when your celly see and beg for the people who don't claim that they're evil not to leave you in the cell, saying that you're faking, threatening you with 30 days in DHU like it's legal because your pain is unbearable, but to them, it's unreasonable. Oh yeah, and that wasn't a threat, that was a promise. I thought once y'all heard this applesauce once y'all heard this applesauce stuff, that y'all would be so astonished that somebody will probably pop up in the ACJ lobby and change the order of operations before her watch this next tick. No one here probably even seen the request slip, negligent to the fact that some people might have autism, might have PTSD, maybe even attention deficit. I was told that if I didn't follow up and that it was my fault and that there was no record of any grievance that I wrote when I was locked up. Oh yeah, I worked in the kitchen for over a year, swear. I had my serve safe. Trinity staff, nobody there. Oh, one did though, she was the boss. I seen her 11 times in 17 months. She said she'd rather throw food away than feed us. That's how she'd rather take a loss. Over 14-hour shifts, and they served me applesauce, 27 grievances. To get down instead potatoes, just potatoes. I just want to stop. I got like way more. I just want to stop and address the Trinity staff. She was lying about everything she said. I worked in that kitchen. There was rats, roaches. We used to say the rats and the roaches was bad on. We thought they had a war zone going on. We would clean everything up and sit down and watch the rats and roaches run back and forth. Rats in the food, roaches in the food. Still send the tray up. My time's up.
Thank you, sir.
Not to mention how many times Angler called down there and said my tray was wrong.
Brad Korinsky.
Brad Korinsky, Highland Park, KORINSKI, here to talk about board designees. Now, I'm not going to convince anyone except those convinced that the words of the state statute mean what they say, but hopefully I can convince the persuadable that board designees are a bad idea. And why are they a bad idea? We look to history. From 2012 to 2021, the county executive attended one meeting, sent his designee. During that time, the jail operated horrendously. People died, people suffered, staffing declined, a whole host of problems. No one cared. In 2021, the Jail Oversight Board actually stops the county executive from allowing Joseph Garcia, a con man, a liar, a sociopath, from working at the jail, from training our guards to use shotguns to, quote, de-escalate situations. The board votes to not allow Mr. Garcia in the jail. Not surprisingly, by the next meeting, Judge Clark is not the chair anymore, but Judge Housey has been appointed because, well, that jail oversight board is going to learn a lesson, and a lesson that board learned. Nothing happened, more people died, chaos ensued, people suffered at the jail. The most powerful person in Allegheny County couldn't be held to account, and the only person on the board who cared was Ms. Hallam. And what did we do? Because there was nothing much we could do except we went to court. And we went to court to try to get Mr. Fitzgerald to show up at meetings. And then what did we encounter in court? Preliminary objections from the two most apathetic members of the board, the controller and the sheriff, who finally found their cause, which was to ensure that designees could attend the board meeting. Well, my goodness. They can be the Cesar Chavez of oppressed elected officials who have to attend meetings. But we know from history that the county executive needs to be here. We know from history that the chair of the board should not be a designee because bad things happen. And when bad things happen at the jail, it's not like bad things happen at the park. It's not like the grass doesn't get cut. People die. And this board is the bulwark between death and good governance.
Mr. Kerensky, I feel compelled to point out that you keep referring to history. History, you have filed a lawsuit saying that it's illegal for the county executive, the county controller, and the sheriff to send a designee, but you, in fact, were the county controller's designee for a number of years and voted as a member of the board. So why wasn't it illegal when you were doing it, but it is now?
It was. I was one of the few people that cared, and I tried to make it better. But my designation, frankly, if the controller and the sheriff never come, I don't think anyone cares. The county executive is the whole point, because the county executive...
Okay. All right. I didn't mean to create an argument. I just meant to point out a hypocrisy in my mind. Tim Stevens.
Oh, wait, yeah.
What's this say?
It's Ciora.
Ciora.
Ciora Thomas, Thomas. I wanted to start asking a question I asked some years ago. Who on the board identifies as trans or non-binary? No one. Still, so I say that respectfully and understanding of where we still need to go as Allegheny County. For those of you who may not know, my name is Ciora Thomas. I'm the founder and executive director of Sisters PGH. We are the longest running Black trans woman-led organization in Allegheny County, Pittsburgh, in our region, in our state, that has been serving our transgender population for over a decade now. I have worked over the years to advocate for safe housing and treatment for trans inmates, and think it would be vital to have support as a committee. I was reading through these bylaws, and I also think we should hold, in my opinion, I think it should hold. There aren't enough inclusivity to make these kind of decisions. And in order to make decisions that affect everyone in the jail, including trans inmates, we should have those voices of the most marginalized a part of that conversation. And I offer my time to provide that. We at Sisters PGH are still a point of contact for trans inmates. I would love to meet with the new administration, have some conversations on how we can build some reentry services. We are equipped to serve trans inmates that are in the jail, coming out of the jail. We already provide them housing when they're leaving the jail. Somehow today, still our number and information is still available within the jail, so they do call us. Like Hina, like my sibling had mentioned, we also have a number that they can reach us at, 412-961-4321. This is a free call that any trans inmate can call to get resources from our organization. And I wanted to highlight that I wasn't able to make the last meeting. I was in community doing social justice work. But I want to still and continue offer my voice, my experience within the community to this board. I was around, I'm from Pittsburgh, from Allegheny County, and especially up under our new county exec, this should be, and I'm happy to see that she is our county exec. I want to see the county that we deserve to have, the county that she dreams that we are supposed to have, and I'm here to support that. And I also want to add, it's been a long day. Yeah, just more so on reentry. It seems like my organization has been blocked from reentry services. I don't know what's going on, but I've been talking about this for years. There's some backup here. Yeah, the little, can you stop my time and I'll try to get the little thing that.
It's working now.
There we go. Can I reclaim a couple of seconds?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you, honey. So yeah, I was discussing, I would love to talk more about reentry. I was a part of the group that helped train Allegheny County Jail on TLGBTQ issues within the jail. I don't know if you all still have that packet of training around that, but I was there when that was created. I'm sure it needs some updating now, but I'm also here to offer that resource for the jail. So wanted to add these things, and thank y'all for having me today.
Thank you.
Ciora, could you please send that to me, and I can forward it to the board, because I've never seen that packet. So if that's something you still have, can you share that with me, and I'll share it with the rest of the board members?
You're talking the training,
packet.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Tim Stevens.
Perfect timing, Tim.
Stay seated. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see pretty much a full house up there. Just coming from the Allegheny County Jail with a wonderful team from the National Council of Negro Women, the Black Political Empowerment Project, and League of Women Voters. We registered 101 persons today, went to every pod in the building, every pod, and we had 129 absentee ballots or mail-in ballots, and there'll be a few more coming later today or by tomorrow. So we're very happy about that. And I wanted to say, I ran into the warden when we were leaving, and I said, I know you don't get too many compliments, but I wanted to compliment the staff. Every ward we went to, every pod we went to, we were treated with great respect and dignity and warmth. And I'll be honest with you, I was pleasantly surprised of how clean the building was. I mean, we went to every pod. And so I wanted to give those compliments because I know you don't get too many. And our hope is from the Black Political Empowerment Project that all the recommendations that have come over, a couple years, a year and a half, from our various organizations, that this new board will take very seriously and again review, because we've said a lot from this pulpit, have we not, over the last year and a half or two. And my request as the chair of BPAP, the Black Political Empowerment Project, is that you review and see where we can move ahead. And we're glad. I was wondering, Chief Executive, if you would still be here, and I'm so glad to see you are still chairing the meeting. I think that's important to everybody in this House, and has altered the atmosphere, and the former interim chair of how the spirit has altered. And we hope the spirit moves from a positiveness of spirit to a positiveness of concrete action, so that the families of those who are incarcerated feel safe about their loved ones, and the people who I met today can feel comfortable in an environment in which they no longer wish to be. But since they're there, and while they're there, that they feel safe, protected, that their medical needs are met, their health needs are met, their social needs are met, their mental health needs are met. Any issues with regard to alcohol or anything else, drug abuse, that those things are addressed efficiently and effectively and ongoingly. Good to see my one-hood brother up there. Very great. So let's move forward with a commitment of working together. And even when we oppose, if we can oppose with dignity and respect, but yet get the work done, that would be very great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. And I want to say thank you to BPEP for really stepping up and adding capacity to voter registration and voter informational resources in the jail. So we appreciate it and hope to expand it in the general.
Yeah, and Tim, real quick before you sit down, can you tell us how many people went into the jail to do registration? You said you hit every pod. How long did it take you, and how many people did you have?
We literally got there about 8 o'clock. I'm just coming from the Hill now, dropping off 2 of my team members at the BPEP headquarters. So we had...
Like 8 to 4, would you say?
8, yeah. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe about 6 of us, and several staff members who were wonderful, working with us. And I'd never met her before, but I want to give, because we don't hand out too many compliments up here, but I do want to say that Casey Walsh, the support services manager, couldn't have been nicer. I mean, really. We walked together the whole time and was very supportive. And the young ladies who worked with her and with us couldn't have been nicer. But I just want to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna Yatsko.
Hi, Anna Yatsko, ANNAYATSKO, here exclusively in my personal capacity. In terms of the bylaws that we have going on, I just have some suggestions since it came up a little quickly over the holiday. The Warden written monthly reports, I would love to see those made public as the annual reports are, just to smooth things out, since they're being created. I had a question about the president judge's designee being chairperson. Is that another member selected by the president judge, or is that someone standing in for the president judge? Unclear?
The president judge has the right to appoint a designee to attend in his or her stead.
Right. So then that designee would become chairperson.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe we could appoint someone else chairperson. As for designees, I would suggest that there would be a limit on it to enforce the history so as no more than 2 meetings in a row could be missed, with no more than 5 meetings missed in a year. And since there were concerns about jail visits, which thank you to Ms. Hallam and Manny for conducting such in-depth jail visits, would love to see more. If there's concerns about those time restrictions, maybe we restrict a time limit of 12 hours per day for board jail visits? No? All right. Anyways, I look forward to seeing new bylaws that promote aggressive oversight, as that's what the public looks up to you all for. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tanisha Long.
All right. Tanisha Long. Do I just have to spell my last name, my first name? All right. Both? No, I swear I'm not doing that. All right, so first, before I begin, I would like to express my disappointment that the public is just now seeing a copy of these bylaws because Judge Ivashkovich, you promised us that these would be available on the website and they were not. So anyone who wants to submit written online public comment about these bylaws did not have the ability to do that. That's not right. Judge Bigley, I would also like to address your comments from the last meeting where you snapped at a member of the public and said the public shouldn't be commenting, but continued to spend the rest of the meeting engaging with Mr. Crum, who is a member of the public. You also refused to turn your microphone on, and I think this is a troubling example of the trend of showing disdain for public commenters. It has to stop. We are a part of the board meeting, and a lot of the things you guys act on and learn about are because the public comments. So attempts to limit our comments, attempts to limit what we speak about, that's unacceptable, unnecessary, and some of these bylaws definitely pose First Amendment violations. So I would really think about that. More importantly, though, I do want to talk about the subject of the designees. It is very clear in our county code that federal and state law supersede any bylaws the board's going to make, even our county law, even our home rule charter. And why this is so important to me, because I like seeing you here, Sarah. I think you do a good job. Corey, I like seeing you here too. I don't believe that these are positions that need designees because what you do and what you decide on is so important that getting that information secondhand and allowing another person to make those decisions is not really acceptable. We saw what happens when we have a county executive who isn't engaged. You're in charge of the warden search. You do things that are so greatly important to this board that I want you here. And I think you do a good job. Thank you. I don't think that, these bylaws, which were authored by a judge and an attorney, make sense. Why would a judge and an attorney direct us to do something that is in clear violation of the law? I don't believe that means that you're exercising good decision-making. And if you want to be chair of this board, that should be a democratically elected position like we do in all other boards in Allegheny County. And if judges are supposed to be impartial, why would you author bylaws that clearly violate the law and seek to limit the public's participation? I don't think the person who's most in charge of sending people to the jail should have any place in dictating their conditions of confinement. Thank you so much. Bye.
John Kenstowitz. Did I mispronounce it? Good afternoon.
Brian and Patrick are going to donate their time for me, so I would have 9 minutes. I don't wait, John, women have me too. And Joseph are here. So I'd like to have 9 minutes, and I will stop when the bell rings.
Okay, we as a board have discussed this and agreed that we're not going to allow that anymore, but we didn't pass the bylaws that prohibit that, so I'm going to make an executive decision and say go ahead. Much to everyone's dismay, I'm sure.
Okay.
Wait, whose time are you taking, John?
Patrick and Brian.
Okay.
Oh, is Ebony here?
Okay.
Oh, great. So I've got 12 minutes. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is the last time. My last name is Kenstowitz, Kenstowicz. I want to talk about the ACJ Correctional Officer Job Satisfaction Survey for 2024. The 2024 ACJ Correctional Officer Job Satisfaction Survey will be available for all correctional officers at ACJ to complete starting on April 27th and will continue to be available until May 23rd. A goal of this survey is to increase the officers' participation rate from 98 officers from last year to over 200 for this year's survey. To that end, the following is a statement to explain in some detail the survey that I will be conducting. This statement describes the format and design of the survey and the reasons why it is in the interest of the officers to complete the survey. Today, this statement is being provided most importantly to the correctional officers of ACJ who might be watching this presentation on YouTube video, but also is being provided to the Jail Oversight Board and to the public to provide an understanding of the structure and validity of the survey and its importance. Design of the survey. The first part is very similar to last year's survey, using statements officers will be able to respond to. Strongly agree, agree, neither agree nor disagree, disagree, strongly disagree. There are 13 statements covering such areas as morale, pay and benefits, physical safety, and relationships with administration. One statement has been added regarding whether the officers believe working conditions at the jail have improved since Warden Harper's departure. The second part of the survey has 3 questions concerning staff retention, staff turnover, and whether the officers' experience on the job has improved. Officers will be able to answer very briefly to these 3 questions or discuss at length their concerns. A new data set has been added to this year's survey, which will assess how length of service is affecting, if at all, the responses to the survey. The format. On April 27th, each correctional officer will be sent by email the survey. Google Forms is being used as a system for formatting the survey. Google Forms protects the officer's identity. I will not be able to see the officer's name when I review the surveys. Of the 98 officers who completed the survey last year, there were no complaints about an officer's identity being revealed. The responses to Part 1 of the survey will be computed by Google Forms, and the percentages will be reproduced in colorful pie charts, as was done last year. The responses in Part 2 will be categorized for commonality with other survey responses and for different themes presented as teaching tools for the reader to learn from. Responses will not be included in a summary that could reveal the identity of the officer. If an officer wants to complete the survey using pen and paper, that can be arranged. Why complete the survey? Survey will be helpful for future contract negotiations. Last year's job satisfaction survey and my testimony regarding the survey was helpful and was entered into evidence at the recent arbitration hearing regarding the officer's contract. A more complete statement regarding this will be provided to the officers by their union president. A criticism of the survey has been that the response rate was only 30%, and that the complainers and the officers with sour grapes completed the survey. My response was that many officers did not trust the process, this being the first survey, that their identity would be revealed. Officers know now that that will not be the case. My goal is that we increase the participation rate of the officers to 200 officers and a 60% participation rate. This will put to rest the sour grapes theory. The survey is a learning tool to provide insights into the job challenges of our COs and what needs to improve. There is much to learn from a survey of this type. Aggregate data is provided which gives a consensus and a proportionality about the officers' attitudes about issues such as morale, pay, benefits, training, and their safety. The survey also provides many detailed descriptions of the many challenges correctional officers face on the job and the officers' recommendations for change. Many of the responses will concern correctional officer turnover and retention, key issues that will affect morale, the physical and emotional health of the officers, and the opportunity for officers to spend time with their family. All these responses give everyone insight into the deeper problems of why we have so many deaths at our jail and why so many staff leave employment. Survey can be used as a yardstick to measure improvement. The survey puts a yardstick in the correctional officer's hands in which the officer will provide the opportunity to talk in the officer's own words about improvements and changes at the jail and in working conditions compared to a year ago. What has improved and what hasn't? The survey can provide information and platforms for discussion, analysis, and advocacy. Besides the aggregate data, the survey could provide 600 responses from the 3 questions if we have 200 officers complete the entire survey. If the survey provides such a large response, there could be multiple issues to research which will provide platforms for discussion and advocacy as there was last year. Survey can dissolve stereotypes, change perspectives regarding the realities of working as a CO. Last year, 90.8 officers disagreed with the statement, "I feel valued and respected as a CO at the Allegheny County Jail." Some of the reasons concerning this very high score is because many individuals do not understand the challenges and the realities of working as a CO at the Allegheny County Jail. This survey gives correctional officers the opportunity to change that stereotype, to speak to the realities of what a CO faces on the job. Survey must speak to the realities of what is going on at ACJ. For the survey to be recognized as valid, the survey must speak to the realities of what is going on at the jail. For improvements that have been made at the jail, they need to be mentioned in response to that question. By speaking about the realities of the jail, a consensus by many officers will be provided, thereby reinforcing the validity of the survey. Conclusion. Our county executive values best practice as I do. The Department of Justice and the National Correctional Institute recommend the use of county jail surveys as best practice. The DOJ and the NCA also recommend that our warden be a listener. They also say, and I quote, "Do not underestimate culture. It drives everything." And quote, "The culture of the facility will be the determining factor of your new warden and your staff's success." It is best practice for the jail administration to engage the jail culture. And using the survey is one very practical way of engaging the jail culture. As best practice, it is also invaluable for an oversight body to receive aggregate data and statements in a staff person's own words concerning the institution that needs oversight. It is also best practice for the public to become aware of the officer's realities and the many challenges an officer faces on the job to change stereotypes and false impressions of who our correctional officers are. Now I just want to provide a brief review and analysis of the 2 documents. A chronicle summary of healthcare staff from 1999 to 2024, and the recommendations to increase ACJ healthcare staff retention in our Zoom meeting with the board and frontline staff. What I'm about to say are my own words and ideas, and no one else's concerning the 2 documents mentioned in our recent meeting. The board has received both of these documents, and many members of the board participated in our Zoom meeting with frontline staff on March 4th. Regarding the history, what is most striking to me is a significant decrease in permanent staff when the county took over in May of 2015, from 129 staff to 41. The massive departure of staff from the healthcare unit I see as primarily caused by this issue of violation of licensure, changing staff schedules and work locations, and the relationship between frontline staff and the administration. In 2013, once Corizon came in and started moving staff to evening or night shift, many staff left. If one has children and different responsibilities, jail administration can't expect staff to drastically change their family routines and lifestyle. With the market as it is, healthcare staff can find just another job. The unit's critical decisions being made by non-licensed staff trained in counseling continue to be a point of conflict for years, with there being a continued threat to staff's licensure and a directive nature of the communication that was occurring between frontline staff and the administration. As more staff left, more work increased, which led to more staff leaving. Regarding the healthcare staff's recommendations to increase staff retention, I believe the recommendations are reasonable and can be prioritized. The openness to improving communication with jail administration through such discussion as to how the computer can be more effectively used, and there no longer being unilateral decisions being made without frontline staff's involvement, especially in regards to the contract, seem very reasonable. The list of financial incentives can be prioritized, but surely providing a clothing voucher for new staff who are waiting on their first paycheck can be acted upon right away. Many of the incentives are not high-cost items. This issue of the healthcare staff losing many years of the count on pension years because of a change in employers is wrong. The frontline staff did not cause a change in employers. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Can I ask a question, John, about the survey?
Yeah.
I know we had discussed potentially, I had gotten feedback from like some sergeants who weren't included in the original one, and they were wondering if they could participate. Is there any plan to either include them, make this survey available to them, or to do a second survey that is specifically the sergeants, just so we can get their feedback too?
I've discussed that with the union president, and we feel this particular survey should just be given to the ACJ frontline staff. And I think we'd be open about maybe
a second
possibly creating another one, because when you create these surveys, you have to make it particular to the job duties and what the staff is actually doing. And that's what we tried to do with this one. Sergeants will be doing something very different to some degree than frontline staff.
Okay, I'd just like to personally request that you make a plan to get them on a separate one, just so we can kind of hear from them as well.
Okay, is there anybody else? Okay, thanks for your time.
I have no questions. I'm just going to make a comment. So one of the priorities of my administration is focusing on talent attraction, retention, and changing employee culture throughout the entire county, so up to 7,000 employees. We did launch an employee survey on March 1st. We had over 2,500 individuals respond, including 220 employees at the jail, and our teams are currently going over that information, and we will share that information with department heads and move forward with individual plans on how to make sure that we are making the county the best place for people to work.
Could I ask you a question on that, County Executive? Was the survey, was it in question form, or were there a possibility?
It was done in concert with our human resources and legal teams, and it was available to every single employee of the county.
And was there an opportunity for people to respond in their own words about?
Yes, there was.
Okay.
Yes, it was a very thoughtfully designed survey with a number of professionals included.
Thank you. Joseph Kelch. Is Joseph Kelch here? Oh, Jody Lincoln.
Jody Lincoln, JODILINCOLN. I wish the bylaw drafts were publicly available before the meeting so I can make these comments more specific and informed. Unfortunately, they were not posted online on the controller or court's jobs website, so please excuse any misrepresentations or errors. I'd like to start by touching on the provisions for public comments originally proposed. I have a serious question for the board members who are not the community representatives. You do know you're democratically elected officials, right? While only county Councilmember Bethany Hallam and County Executive Anna Morato engage in active representation of the citizens of Allegheny County. All of you serve at our leisure and on our behalf. And in this role as members of the Jail Oversight Board, you are serving in a policy-making position. Especially on a local level, public opinion is a guiding force in policy making. Any notion that public opinion is not valuable because the public is not informed is specifically out of touch when it comes to the Allegheny County Jail. The public that shows up to these meetings and give comments and bears witness has proven time and time again that they are more informed than most of the people sitting on this board about what's going on at the jail. For this board to try and create policies that limit public comments is so disrespectful, not just to the people in this room, but to the people who you are charged with protecting. I know many of you are new to this board, but most of the changes that this board has enacted, that the jail has taken initiative for their own, or that are currently underway, were born from public comment, or 2 or 3 or months and months and months of the same comments about the same issues. It is people coming here and sharing their stories, the stories of their loved ones, and providing firsthand accounts and expert testimony that has led to changes and saved lives. To try and say you know what comments are relevant or how many total minutes of comments should be heard is a failure in your role as a job member and anti-democratic. You might be getting annoyed by us, but we're far more than annoyed at what happens at the jail. No one forced you to run for office and be a public figure. Judge Elisende, no one forced you to run for president judge and take on the Jail Oversight Board. But here we are, and you have a duty to listen to the people who show up and also who post comments online. I'm also extremely disappointed that there are bylaw policies in contradiction of the state statute. I'm sorry, but that's just not how things work. If you don't like how the state statute is written, talk to your state rep and senator buddies and get the law changed. That's how the rest of us have to operate in democracy. It's like landlords putting illegal clauses in their leases or an employer putting in their contract that you can't talk about wages. Just because it's in the contract doesn't mean that it's legal or an allowed policy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Marion Damick.
Hold on. Thank you. Yep, I can get over. Okay, this will be very quick. You won't believe how, hello. You won't believe how early we left the house. What was one thing or another. Okay, I'll be very quick. This is going to be pro. March 19th in the Post-Gazette was an article from someone I think would be a good idea I can read a bit of it because he put it in the newspaper. He obviously thought it was all right to report about how dirty the city is. Right. So the question is, why doesn't, in part, I can read the whole thing. I'm talking about how low-risk inmates could be bused to various parts of the city and would be paid or given 1 day less in jail or maybe a pizza each time they work to be able to be volunteers to help clean up the city, which desperately needs it. It might be something that would encourage the inmates to behave or to do work, something to do to help out, and it certainly would encourage the city to look better. I'm just suggesting that it's been done in other facilities. I can't see why it couldn't be done here in Allegheny County. Another quick thing is there's a previous lawsuit, also March 19th, filed, and I believe it's 38 pages, as you might think, of the agreement. I urge you to look at it because what it does, it's filed by the Abolition Law Center as part of it. mental health-related positions at the jail are to hire and attract potential employees within 6 months. This would be in the suit. And, whoops, excuse me. Within 6 months, signing off on the agreement, the jail would have to hire 6 full-time licensed therapists who should have a full caseload within 10 months. It goes on and on. This is a suit that has already been filed. I think you should be aware of it and try to obviously see. It's 38 pages, so whatever. That would be, frankly, what I can say for anything good going on. But I hope you can try to clean up the city. We all should try to clean up the city, but it might be very helpful, both for the inmates and for the citizens here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marion, and you'd probably like to know that the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership works with our community corrections to put folks in reentry programs to work in the downtown area to clean up. So they're part of the clean team.
I can't hear.
I'm sorry.
Say that again, she didn't hear.
So, yes.
She's talking to you, Marion.
Yes. So there's a relationship between folks who are in reentry programs and the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership, and they have a clean team that works downtown. So I thought you would like to know that.
Yes.
Great.
Did you hear her, Marion? I know I'm much louder than our county executive. Did you hear what she said? Yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure. Sorry. I'll be your interpreter.
Megaphone.
Megaphone for the executive.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Next on the agenda is consideration of the bylaws. Before we vote on the bylaws, there's a number of amendments that we have to get through. So I'm going to take the amendments in the order in which I received them. First would be Mr. Perkins' amendments.
Sorry, the minutes. Approve the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
for February 27th, or both days?
Yes.
Both days, second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's passed. Thank you.
Judge Ivashevik, as we move on to the bylaws, I would like to request a roll call vote on each of the bylaws as opposed to a vote of acclamation, if there's no objections.
On the amendments, you mean?
On all of the amendments, yes,
Okay,
please. Thank you.
that's fine. Okay, Mr. Perkins, you requested to modify paragraph 3F.
Section 3, paragraph F.
Section 3, paragraph F.
I'm actually going to amend my amendment. 3F deals with confidentiality of information and the handling of confidential documents. As was originally written, I believe it was overbroad and would prevent us from acting on information that we learn in our board duties, and would hurt our ability to do our job. I tried to rework it, but ultimately, I think that we should just scratch 3F completely, eliminate 3F, and we can later on come up with a different policy that provides for the proper handling of truly confidential information, but I don't think we need 3F.
Okay, so the motion is to eliminate.
We need a motion to discuss, Judge, so if you want to make a motion to discuss, I'll second.
Motion to discuss.
Second, okay.
Okay, well, the motion is to amend section 3F by deleting it in its entirety because we truly have been unable to come up with language that everybody can agree upon. So, motion to delete paragraph 3F. Mr. Nasir.
Say yes or no.
I'll say yes.
Mr. Perkins.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam.
Yes.
Ivashevik, yes.
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 Okay, so 3F is gone. Next is to delete 4B and modify 4C so that the board shall elect a chairperson and a vice chairperson. Basically, that the board shall elect a chairperson. That's a motion by Mr. Perkins to amend. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Nasir? Well, we discussed this ad nauseum at the work session. If anybody wants to add something, okay, but let's not repeat all the arguments that we had at the work session. Because it's Mr. Perkins' amendment, do you want to say anything?
I think we did discuss this in great detail. I would just repeat that I would actually vote for the president judge to serve as chair, but I do think it should be democratically elected for many reasons. And that's it.
That's okay. I hope that we don't repeat everything. I think everybody's made their positions pretty clear at the work session. Does anybody else care to say anything?
Just one thing, I just wanted to make sure, I don't think, is it clear that we don't need any additional language to understand that that person could be reelected? Okay.
I don't see anything about term limits in the bylaws anyway, so it's my understanding how they're written currently, that if we would change it, you could be it every single year.
Okay, great.
Okay. Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Hallam?
Yes.
I vote no.
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 Yes.
Five noes, 4 yeses, so the amendment does not pass. Next is delete section 5 relating to board designees. That is Mr. Perkins' motion. Does anybody second it?
Second. I have lots to say about this.
Okay, well, again, I know everybody has a lot to say. We spent a lot of time discussing this at the work session, so if somebody has something new to say, I think it would be welcomed. Otherwise, I don't think we all need to hear a repetition of commentary. Does anybody have something new to say?
Judge, I don't know that I articulated these reasons at the working session, and my reasons may be different than others, so I just want to express that my reasoning is twofold. One is that it is divisive because differing board members have different interpretations of the legal interpretation of that statute. I personally don't have any policy disagreement with the designees. Other people might differ on that. The second issue is that there is pending litigation with respect to the designee issue, and is my position is to be prudent to wait and see what the outcome of that litigation is, rather than pass something in the bylaws that a court later overrules, because obviously the court's interpretation of the law would supersede the bylaws.
Thank you.
I have a couple
Ms. Hallam?
things, yes, that I would add. I did say a lot of things in the last meeting, but there are some things that I've thought of since then. First of all, I just want folks to imagine, right, it's time to certify the 2024 presidential election. The 2 at-large members of council in the county executive sit on this very important board of elections. And the 2 council members walk in, and then in walks some rando that the county executive appointed as their designee to certify the presidential election. That would never, ever happen, right? Despite, under the county executive's argument against designees, she could very well do that. Why would it happen with the Jail Oversight Board, right? It would never happen on any other board that is such an important job as to make sure that people in the jail don't die. And maybe it is inconvenient to attend a once-a-month meeting that sometimes goes on for 2.5, 3 hours. But, month after month, we hear about the same problems over and over again, that especially the county exec, who is, definitely the most powerful person on this board and arguably the most powerful person in this county, could fix most of these issues we hear about month after month in 30 minutes, right? So I think that we need to fix those issues and end the charade of the fact that the county executive is not responsible and able to fix those things. I also think that something that is very important to point out is that you make laws not for the good leaders who will do the right thing, like our current county executive has done, even without being forced to do so. You make laws to protect us from when we have the bad leaders like we had for the past 12 years who consistently, month after month after month refused to come because we did not have bylaws. We did not have a judge's order telling us what to do. We did not have a board that cared about the rule of law. But I look around now, and it sure seems like we have a lot better board than I sat on for the 4 years prior to this year. And I want to make sure we do this right. If we, keep it out because, as Rob said, wait to see what happens with a lawsuit, this section, if not deleted, will absolutely, undeniably put this entire board in litigation because they will be the board's bylaws. And so, again, I also want to point out something that I think is really important is I think that allowing this language as drafted in Section 5 that not only violates the law, but even putting that entire argument aside, it materially disenfranchises the citizen members of this board by saying, the president judge already gets a designee, the president of council already gets a designee, but now 3 additional members that aren't identified in the statute would get a designee, but not these other 4 members. And I worry that it possibly could bring rise to an equal protection claim by saying that we are treating different members of the board differently, and it's very obviously not equitable. And I would really worry about the kind of liability that section specifically opens us up to. If you can't come, your seat sits empty. If you can come, you participate. The law is very clear, and aside from that, just it's good government, it's good policy, especially the fact that I don't know how many people have read Section 5. You literally could designate someone today and keep them as your designee forever until you submit a letter saying they're no longer my designee. It has no requirements on the kind of person that is, the kind of experience they have, any sort of accountability whatsoever. You could literally go pick somebody up off Grant Street and say, you are now my designee on the Jail Oversight Board, despite me being elected to this position that I knew when I ran came with the responsibility of sitting on the Jail Oversight Board. I'm very, very, very disappointed that this section was left into our final draft. I am very excited to support this amendment to it, and I would hope that for all of those reasons, my colleagues on this body decide to do the same.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. Of course, I want to second everything that Rob and Bethany already said. I do also want to point out how many public commenters came up and expressed gratitude that everybody is sitting in the seat and taking this position seriously. I've been showing up to these meetings for a long time. I was involved in very early organizing, I believe in like 2020, to try to get the previous county executive to show up. And I have to keep reminding us, and I remind myself, the reason why we're here. You know what I'm saying? We're here to make sure that the people who are in the jail are getting the best possible care or best possible treatment that they can get. You know what I'm saying? And I think we should all have a vested interest in showing up and dedicating our time and our attention to making sure that happens. That's pretty much it. I'm supporting Rob's amendment to delete Section 5 entirely.
Anybody else? So the motion on the table is to delete Section 5. Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Howell?
Yes.
Vashovic, no.
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 No. Yes.
Okay, the motion failed.
This is your notice. I'm going to sue Yins if these bylaws pass. Yeah. Sorry to the people who voted yes for this amendment, but this is your notice.
Okay, next one is...
You don't have to announce it, you can just file it and we'll find out.
But I also can announce it.
Okay, enough. Modify 9C.
Thanks for the political theater, Bethany. All right,
Okay, modify 9C to allow for 4 board members to serve on a committee, whereas it is currently designated as 3. Does anybody want to comment on this one?
Yes, I introduced
9. What is
Oh,
it?
is there, well, it's Mr. Perkins's motion. I apologize. Is there a second?
I'll second it, yeah.
Thank you.
9C?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes. So that there can be 4.
9?
4 committee members instead of 3. Okay, does anybody want to comment on that?
What is it? I'm sorry, 9C?
Yes, so that there can be 4 board members on a committee instead of 3. Right now, it reads that there shall be, that any committee shall be limited to 3 board members. This is a motion to make it 4.
with that, right?
Huh? When they come back in.
There's no problem with that.
Okay.
Does anybody know what just happened? What was that person removed for?
I have no idea.
Did anybody see anything?
No.
I think he was recording the meeting.
What? Is that what they said? People record the meetings all the time. We're recording it.
I don't know what he was.
Something bad is happening.
I'm not going to get involved in it.
Look, can you just take a break for a minute?
Okay, let's go.
No, why are we taking a break?
Really hot feelings because I took a big break.
Doesn't it involve some law enforcement issue? Oh, Jesus. Well, I know he was acting up back there. What was he doing?
Manny's not here.
I have no idea what happened. Oh, Manny went out then. I didn't see what happened.
Not out there, so can you get him back? Because
Well, I'm going to proceed. I can't help it. He's not back here.
Can we please wait until the
not
rest of the board
waiting.
members are back?
Wait, I don't know where he went. We took a 5-minute break. It's been 5 minutes.
Someone was violently removed from the meeting. I think we can wait a couple minutes to wait till all the members are back from dealing
I'm
with that,
not
please.
waiting. Modify 9C. Once a committee has been established, the motion is to move it up to 4 board members from the current way the bylaws read 3. Mr. Perkins' motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on it?
don't we need an odd number? We can't make it 5?
5 would be a quorum.
Right, so
We need to meet.
what, I'm just worried about having that, not having an odd number.
I mean, a 4th person can go, somebody can go and attend if they have an interest, but that's why it was set at 3.
The rationale was that I understand the logic for 3, but if 4 people were particularly interested in issues such as, for example, the healthcare committee that has a broad mandate, there might be more than 3 board members who want to contribute. That would increase the capacity of the subcommittee. And the hope is that we'll have some consensus with these subcommittees, that we can work together and have unanimous votes supporting various things. That was the rationale for that.
What if it said no more than 3 voting member? I mean, no more than, more than only 3 voting members or something like that, so others could be on the committee but couldn't vote or something like
That's not
that.
the point. There can't be a quorum in discussing business. So there could be 4, but then you have an even number if there's a dispute that needs to be voted on.
I guess my suggestion was that only 4 could be on, but only 3 of them could vote or something like
Okay.
that.
So you are making a motion to amend the amendment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so the new motion is that any committee may have 4 members, but no more than 3 voting members. Okay, Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
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 Okay, the motion passes. Next amendment is to modify section 12C7 to delete the first sentence. Board members are bound by applicable codes of conduct and ethical standards. We did discuss that. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Anybody want to make a statement?
No.
Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
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 Okay, the amendment passes. Next, I'm going to move to Ms. Griffin's amendments, and I'm hoping that, does anybody object to Ms. Griffin's amendments? Because they're mostly, typographical. Are there
It's
any?
really just one, right? And then the other thing was already done kind of by Ross, right?
No. She sent typographical.
Oh, like the grammatical and
Yes,
punctuation stuff?
yes.
No.
That was whoever was typing it up, just to note those errors. So,
I'm glad you did that because none of us did. So
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
I don't even know if we need to vote on that, but those were just,
Well, let's just vote on
Okay,
it. Does anybody object to Ms. Griffin's typographical amendments? I'm going to call them.
No, but
Okay,
I just-
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Next, I'm going to move to Ms. Hallam's amendment.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did we officially change even the pronouns and everything too? You're including
Yes.
that in the typographical, not
Yes.
just, gotcha, okay.
Okay, next I'm going to move to Ms. Hallam's amendments. First, everywhere where the word inmate is used, change to incarcerated individual. Is there a second?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
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 Next is section 3F. We already voted to delete that paragraph,
Right,
so that
not needed.
amendment is moot. Section 4B, that is also moot. Section 5, delete, that's moot. Next amendment is section 11A3E. Change the warden's report at that particular paragraph to include date, time, location, names of jail staff members involved, and detailed reasons for each use of force. Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
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 Amendment passes. Next is section 11A3J. Change that particular provision of the warden's report to include locations, circumstances, and outcomes with names redacted. Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
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 Okay. Next is section 12B2, change posting the agenda Right now, it's 24 hours in advance of the meeting. Change it to 48 hours. Is there a second to that amendment?
Since we have a second, can I just explain why? I don't know if anybody needs it, but right now, as it stands without this, we basically are closing public comment online at the same time that the agenda would be due, and so I want to make sure that people who are submitting online public comment have at least 24 hours from the time they get what we're going to be talking about to now. So,
Anybody else? Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Amendment passes. Next is Section 12B3, change. We instituted a new provision where you could sign up to speak online. It currently reads that the sign-up will be open 48 hours in advance and closed 24 hours in advance. This amendment proposes that it opens 7 days in advance. Is there a second to the amendment?
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I would just like to say, I think that we should give people online more than 24 hours to submit a comment. People have schedules and lives, but I also just think that's a really short time frame. I know for county council, you could sign up today to comment on a November meeting if you wanted to. So I actually think 7 days is a pretty fair compromise.
Sorry, are we talking about the sign up to speak?
Online.
Online comments?
Yeah, to submit online comments. So basically, you'd have a week prior to the meeting is the only time frame that you could submit them online. It would still stop 24 hours before the meeting.
I believe county council, you sign up, the sign-up opens on the Friday before the Tuesday meeting.
No, we get comments. I mean, I have comments in my inbox from like weeks ago.
Sign up to speak. This is to sign up to speak.
This is for online public comments.
Okay, 12B3.
Yeah, B3. The electronic sign-up sheet shall open 48 hours before each scheduled meeting and shall close 24
I thought this was the
hours.
section to sign up to speak that we talked about, not the online commenting.
No, if you look at 12B3, it includes both. So what I'm asking is for the part that says the electronic sign-up sheet shall open 48 hours before each scheduled meeting time in the red language. Do you see the red on 12B?
That's not, this language is, we're going to add a new button that you click on the court website. One is submit a public comment, and one is sign up to speak. This is the sign up to speak.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
So you're saying,
So where is in here about when online comments are open?
this is the, online comments?
So for example, I want people to have a week to sign up in general to speak, whether online or in person.
I don't think that's addressed on here, and I'm
Yeah, I don't
not
think
even
that's
sure
addressed
when
on
it
here
does
either.
open up.
So can we maybe make this amendment something that says, in general, both to sign up to speak in person or to submit online public comment, you get a week before the meeting is when you can start doing that, as opposed to this language, which allows it only 48 hours before.
But look at B10, doesn't that's where we address electronically submitted public comments. Can we put it
I thought
there?
that was always open. Isn't it?
Okay,
Corey?
B10 does
Yeah,
address that, but
the-
it doesn't say when it opens.
But I think it's always open.
So like I could sign up today for the June Jail Oversight Board meeting?
No.
Right, so it's
No,
not always
the
open for every
public
meeting.
comment is always, you can always put your public comment in, it'll be put at the next meeting.
By email.
Okay.
There is no
This is the
time limit.
Okay, so you're
just
saying if
the
I wanted to
sign
sign up right now for it to be held at the July meeting, I could do that?
It'll be the
No,
next
no,
meeting.
we're
Right.
opposed to
Listen to
public
me, there's
comment.
two different things.
I understand.
This paragraph that
I
you're
want to
talking
amend
about-
whatever this one is.
Okay, that
Yeah.
one is to sign
In
up,
person.
which we don't have right now. We don't have right now. We are going to now allow people, instead of coming, in addition to coming to the meeting and signing up, they can go online, click a button, and sign up to speak.
Okay.
This does not deal with submitting public comment.
I would still like to give people more than 24 hours to do
Okay,
that.
I'm going to make a motion to,
48 though, just so you know.
No, but they only have a 24-hour window to do it because it
Okay.
closes 24 hours before.
I'm going to make a motion
Yeah.
to amend your motion to 72 hours.
That gives them 48 hours plus the 24 hours, but not a full week before the meeting to
Yes.
sign up to speak.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, do people have objections to 7 days? Why not give them more time? What's
Okay,
the-
well, I made a
downside?
motion to amend, let's just see where it goes. Is there a second?
Second.
To 72 hours. Any discussion on 72 hours?
Want to vote first on Ms. Hallam's and then?
No.
I just have a question.
We already had a motion to a second
Go ahead.
on mine, so we have.
So just for the sake of consistency, are we talking about calendar days, 72-hour calendar days, or business days?
We can do hours of 7
Calendar.
days if you wanted, you know what I mean, to keep it
Calendar. And it's on
consistent.
a Thursday, so this means it would open up on,
Thursday before.
yeah, Thursday before if it's a whole week. If it's, right now, it would open up on Tuesday, the way it's written. If it's amended to 72 hours, it would open up on Monday.
Okay.
Okay, we'll vote on Ms. Hallam's amendment, 7 days. Mr. Nassir?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
Okay, amendment passes, so it will be changed to 7 days. Okay, last one is...
There's 2 more.
Okay, you're right.
12.
12B8 to delete.
Wow, this is actually, I don't know if this was a setup, what just happened ahead of this, but this is the one about ruling the speaker out of order and instructing the deputies to escort people out. I say we just eliminate that. It is,
Set up.
well, I'm just saying, I was wondering if it was a coincidence that something like this just happened right before
Okay,
we were
12B8, the
discussing
chairperson may rule any speaker out of order and instruct the presiding sheriff to escort the speaker from the podium or meeting as deemed appropriate. The amendment is to delete this. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mr. Nassir?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
No.
No. Yes.
Amendment passes.
I would, although I would just advise everyone, I think it's the sheriff. The sheriffs are going to take people out of the room whether we instruct them to or not.
So why put it in the bylaws,
I'm
right?
saying,
I
but they're in
agree.
charge of the security of this facility, so.
I don't think
agree.
anyone
It's not gonna
disputed
stop
that.
it from
But
happening.
Yeah.
I think the chairperson, I would give the chairperson the ability, if
Well, I
somebody
think-
is out of order.
Okay. Next amendment, section 11A3, add M. Monthly tablet report to include the number of working tablets in the facility, how many tablets are in each pod in comparison to the number of incarcerated individuals housed on each pod, total number of pending tablet repairs, and the amount of time since each repair request was submitted to the tablet vendor. Is there a second to the motion to amend?
Second.
Any discussion?
I think it's too vague. I don't think it gives a date. I think it's too cumbersome for the jail to collect that data. I think particularly if it's through a provider, what date are we talking about? Tablets or something that, as of the time they walk out, the information could have changed. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about the vagueness of the word confidential for what, an hour last week? And then we have this thing about tablets and whether or not they work and all this information about the numbers and in locations and stuff like that. And I just think this is like, I think that's ridiculous, but.
Well, I do think that perhaps this could be amended because the way that it reads, there'd be a report every day. Do you know, because it can change every day. So every day that data would have to be collected.
Well, I think so, but especially remember the qualifying statements at the beginning of when the monthly report is to be done. A lot of these things change every day. The intake population statistics report changes every day, but it's still in the monthly report. The diversion statistics, the release statistics, almost every single thing on the monthly report does change every day. That's why we said that it is to be given to us no less than 7 days before the next regularly scheduled meeting. So this is no different than every other thing requested in the monthly
Okay,
report.
so you're saying that it would.
This is in the monthly report.
The report would just include the date that the warden was compiling these statistics?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Do you mind if it said monthly tablet report to include on the date of the report?
Are we going to amend all of the other requests for the monthly warden's report to say that as well?
Let me look.
Yes. I believe it's fine the way that it is, and we have a motion and a second on the floor. I would like to vote.
Okay, well, the intent is that it's on the day of the report, so Mr.
It is the same as
Nasir-
every other report requested in the monthly warden's report.
Well, Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Okay, amendment passes. Next are the controller's amendments. Number one, a motion to replace the word rules with bylaws everywhere that appears. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
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 Yes. Got
Okay, number two, we've already voted on. It's been changed. That's moot. Number three, delete 12B6, public comment shall be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. Delete that in its entirety.
I'll second that.
Any comment?
It's right out of this, I mean, the statute says, or the sunshine law says that that's the appropriate matters to be addressed in a public meeting is matters within the jurisdiction of. So I don't know what the issue is
We don't
with
really
that
follow state
particular
laws.
language.
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mr. O'Connor.
Saying, when public comment comes down to, usually how it's written in Robert's rules is it has to be specific to what is on our agenda, where when you come here, a lot of people talk about issues that happen to a family member, that's not necessarily within the jurisdiction of what we're talking about, but it has to do with the jail on an open approach. So that's kind of why it should be more open dialogue. If you have 3 minutes, you have 3 minutes, and we've always opened that up. Or at least on city council was always, you have 3 minutes. If they want to comment, we'd love for it to be specific to what we're talking about, but I think everybody has the right to give us their 3 minutes and thoughts. So that was the reason to just delete it. But
Ms. Inamorata.
I appreciate that sentiment because we shouldn't limit public comment. But I am going to vote against this amendment just because I do not want folks to come to the Jail Oversight Board meeting and express other things, talk about property reassessment, for example. So really keeping it in line with what happens at the jail and the other community corrections reports that we administer here.
Any other comments? Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
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 No.
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 Yes.
Okay, the noes have it, the amendment does not.
No, the yeses have it. It was 5-4. It was Nasir, Perkins, Hallam, O'Connor,
Oh,
Griffin.
sorry, I apologize. The yeses have it. I apologize.
It's okay.
Okay, next amendment, delete the signature line for the board secretary at the
You
end of the.
skipped 21. Amend section 13 on bylaw amendments to refer to the applicable provisions of Robert's rules.
That's the last one.
Oh, my order is different, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm going on the emails. Okay, delete the signature line for the board secretary.
Second.
At the end of the bylaws. Any discussion? Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
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 Okay, fine, motion to amend passes. Last one, amend section 13 to make reference to the applicable provisions of the amending bylaws under Robert's rules. And I would note that.
Wait, I don't really understand what this one says. It already says Robert's rules in the version that I have. I don't really get this
Okay,
one. Can
well,
you-
Yeah, we can just remove it. We were just trying to clarify under that
Okay.
language. So
You're
we can
pulling
just,
that one? Okay.
Okay, but I want to make it clear that Robert's rules require a 2/3 vote to amend, and that this is a mistake because it reads majority vote, which is not what Robert's rule says.
Yeah, that was the reason to do that, 2/3 have to do it.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're saying you want 2/3 to what?
Robert's rules say that if you want to amend your bylaws, you need a 2/3 vote, not a majority vote. That's a Robert's rule.
that was the only reason to do that technical. But if we're saying that Robert's rules apply to the whole thing, then we could just follow that. We don't have to vote on it.
Yes, but after I.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
This majority vote has to be deleted.
yes.
It's erroneous. It's contrary to Robert's.
Okay, so delete, what number is that, Judge? It's in.
It would just say, it would say the rules may be amended by the board by 2/3 vote in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Nasir?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Sorry,
amendment
yes, my
passes.
microphone was.
I believe that's it. So now we will vote on the bylaws.
As amended.
As amended. Do I have a motion to pass the bylaws?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Nasir?
No.
Well, can we have discussion?
All right, well, didn't we just discuss everything?
I mean, as a whole package?
Okay, go ahead. What do you want to say?
Oh, no, I just want to say I am very excited that we have worked on bylaws. I can't vote for bylaws that very clearly contradict state law. I would hope that no one else would either, but that's why I'm going to be voting no.
Anybody else want to comment? Mr. Nasir?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 Bylaws are passed. Next item of business is incarcerated work assignments. Well,
Is there an update? I know the county executive's office has been looking into certain things about it. Is that what this is, an update on that?
Yes, we will have a more substantive update in May, as we discussed before, and we are working with legal and jail administration to design a program and bring an update to the board in May.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay, next item, anybody else want to say anything about that item? It was on our agenda for last meeting and we didn't get to it. Okay, next, job solicitor.
Can we talk about this a little bit? I would like to move on it.
So if I can comment,
Yeah.
I know Rob made a lot of good recommendations. So I was just going to suggest, if it's okay, that with Rob's suggestions, and we'll probably reach out to other members as well, that my office as secretary write up a general job description, and then get it back to the board to look at it in a little more depth. I'm not making a motion, I'm just saying.
Sure, you mean like we would review it, I'm
not going to put out.
Liaison MOU. Can we maybe do
kind
both
of like
those
that?
then?
We'll make it a little shorter than the
Okay.
liaison MOU, yes.
Yeah, okay. The what? I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
we
I
could
can't
do
hear you.
the executive asked for executive session on it. And I said, yeah, if nobody minds, we could take a draft, working with Rob and his comments, and then go from there.
Cool.
Okay, everybody.
Can we get a new, while you're working on that, can we get a new liaison MOU draft? Just while you're doing
Hang on,
drafts?
the last, a meeting or two ago, I do believe that Mr. Perkins and Ms. Griffin were going to draft or work on drafting a liaison MOU, but I might be wrong. Is that right?
We did volunteer, but we haven't moved on that yet.
Okay.
That's correct.
I'll help move that. I'll volunteer to help move that. I think I was supposed to do something there too, and I did not.
Okay,
So I will
so
definitely do that.
Hallam, Perkins, Griffin will work on the liaison.
MOU.
Secretary's office will work on the job solicitor description. Okay. New business, board access to data and information. I believe that was Mr. O'Connor's item.
Yeah.
No, I think that was Rob had mentioned data. I don't think that's.
I mean, this was the,
Sorry.
this specific new business item was about us getting the policies, us getting to the procedures. Something that I would really like that was brought up tonight that I know we had the former board had talked about was the logs of when meals were delivered. I'd like that. If the ask is a list of policies, my first ask from the jail would be, can we please get just a list of what all the policies are so that we can pick and choose from that which ones we as a board want? I would like them all, but I understand the request earlier was, can we tell them which ones we want?
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to request the jail to provide a list of all of the jail's policies.
Correct.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So the jail's directed to provide us with a list of your policies. Just a list, not the actual policies, but a list of all your policies.
Can we put a time on that too? Because if they give it to us like soonish, which I'm guessing it's just, maybe a couple lists, we can then put our list together for requests prior to the next meeting.
Okay, how soon could you get that to us? Could you do it in a week?
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So can you just email it, please? Thank you.
To all members of the board.
Yeah, to all members of the board.
All right, we still had a question about the emails.
Okay.
I have a concern over that.
There's a question about the emails because there are community members who have business emails that are not personal to them. And that is why when the jail sent me, I distributed the email about the death in the jail. Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't like that.
I know you don't.
Yeah.
But the reason was because they were reluctant to distribute that to the community board members who had a business email, because the business itself controls the email account. And anybody in the business,
Can you provide personal emails, you guys? You have personal emails?
do you have a personal email?
You have like a Gmail? You got one? Barbara? Yep, all right, there you go.
Okay, so if you could provide to me, please, your personal emails. I will update the mailing list. I'll provide it to the jail, and then you can provide this to everybody.
Okay.
Awesome,
Okay?
thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item, board training and education opportunities.
What's that?
I believe that was Mr. O'Connor's item, because there's a couple of educational opportunities, like when we met with Mr. Wetzel, I believe that there's some other educational opportunities that Mr. O'Connor's office was aware of.
Yeah, we can send them out. I don't think it needs to be voted on. I think we were just telling.
Okay.
Something that I did want, an educational material that I did want from the jail specifically was when Seesaw came in, they like trained everybody on like how to do like the CERT team and stuff. And I've never seen that training that happened. And so I would just like any training materials that came from that. It was before your tenure, but the training materials exist somewhere in the jail, and I'd just like us to be sent them to see what the current CERT team was trained on. So basically any training materials that Seesaw provided to the jail in the scope of their contract that they were paid for.
Okay, so there's a motion for the jail to provide this board with the Seesaw training materials. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? How long will it take you to provide that? I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because you don't know where it is,
Right.
probably.
I mean,
Okay,
I can
well,
take a look and.
I bet the CERT team would have it. That would be the first place I'd start, but I mean,
Your Honor.
totally on you. But I mean,
If I could,
2
Your Honor.
weeks.
go ahead.
Or Ms. Allen. When Seesaw was, when that program was suspended, that information is proprietary to Mr. Garcia and his program, and I believe it left with him. So I'm not sure what materials remain from the CSAU program.
So you're saying nobody in the jail knows what training was given or has any
Saying as far as-
documentation on how
As far
to?
as materials and things, I don't know if we have any of that left. I'm sorry? Yeah,
What? Can you speak in the mic, please?
The training records were maintained by the vendor at the time of the training. No certification for those individuals through Seesaw was awarded. The board voted to terminate that contract before they graduated.
We didn't vote to terminate the contract, if you remember. We voted to disallow the weapons from being brought into the jail.
And well, regardless of what it was, that program was never finalized and nobody was certified under that program. So no certification from that program was awarded, and I don't believe we have any of those training materials.
But training was conducted.
But you asked for specific records, which we're saying we don't think we have because it never was given over because the training was never.
Okay, can you look and see if you have any, and let us know if you do or don't?
And if you don't, that's kind of worrisome, knowing that we have current staff in the jail that were trained on materials that we do not have.
They were not, though.
They were
Training
trained.
was
We paid a lot of.
aborted, right?
No, it happened
They
before
were
it was aborted.
recertified under an in-house program. That's different.
They were not certified under the Seesaw program?
But they received training under the Seesaw
I
program that
hear
I want
that,
to
but
know
it's
about.
proprietary information is what I heard, and they take
And
their
we will-
training materials with them when their contract was, I don't know.
We will
Okay.
look to see if we have anything.
Just look and
Anything
see if
related
you
to
have
that
any.
training, even if it is any document about the training, I just never found out what they did, and I know that they were paid a lot of money for what they did, and so I just want to know what that was.
Okay,
Judge.
yes.
I think that was maybe my suggestion, the board trainings. And what I was referring to is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think we need to.
Mr. Connor. I
Why
keep
is it always
blaming
me?
you for
I didn't, yeah, I
everything.
mean, I'll talk about it, but
You
I thought
know-
it was him, yeah.
I apologize, I really do. Go ahead.
I think it's a work in progress, and we can collectively think about what that could look like. But for example, there's a diversion program in the jail. I'd like to hear about how that program works and who's eligible, things like that. Like DHS is doing a lot of really amazing things in the jail. I'd like to hear, what they're doing and learn more about those programs. So there's some briefing opportunities, similar to what we did with Mr. Wetzel. I thought that was very valuable.
Okay, and also I will tell you that the criminal division has a racial equity work group that deals with detainers and pretrial. And I think that probably, and I'm on the work group, and I think that as you guys would be very interested in hearing the status of what's going on in the stats and et cetera. So I will see if somebody wants to come.
Cool.
Awesome.
I'd like that. And then also, what about the training that you just referenced that I didn't know about, Ms. Toma, about like how the current CRU CERT team is trained? I would like any of those training materials so that we
You'll
can
get
educate
that
ourselves.
as part of our list, so you can pick from that.
Oh, that is on the list of policies?
I believe it would.
Training materials are going to be on there too?
I don't know, but
Okay, can you have a list of training materials and policies,
Yes,
please?
great.
We'll amend that.
Thank you.
Yes.
that would be really good. We could be like guards.
Okay, are we ready for the warden's report? Very. Okay, warden's report. And let me interject and say that the first item on the report, I do believe would need to be an executive session.
We have that in the liaison, the monthly liaison report. Is there something in addition to that? Like, is this something specifically, was the warden prepared to?
Well, go ahead. I'll be quiet.
Okay.
Go ahead. If it was, remember we heard about the gentleman with the leg wound?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead. Because the public is here, I don't think they should be divulging details about some
Yes.
medical condition.
I was just wondering if there was anything the warden was prepared to report publicly.
We have staff with us here today that would be able to report on these individuals.
In another setting.
Yes, in a private setting, more private setting.
Okay.
All right, well, let's reserve that and proceed with the rest of the report.
Okay. Good evening, Board. I'd like to begin by reviewing the documents requested and questions raised at the last Jail Oversight Board meeting. The following documents were emailed to the Jail Oversight Board on Monday: misconduct form, incarcerated individual statement form, and the RHU appeal form. Additionally, the method through which individuals are advised of potential penalties regarding misconduct was included in that email. While using the time frame from February 16th to March 15th, we provided the number of individuals for which the jail advocated release, the number released, and the housing units they resided on. We also provided the number of overtime shifts and the number filled both voluntarily and involuntarily. We addressed questions about property and money retrieval and transportation following release. The jail has gathered information on the 5 individuals, like I just reported, on this agenda. But again, we could do that not in this public forum. Upon recommendation from the board, the jail will change the general population jail uniforms to green. We do have a uniform that we brought. We can certainly display it if you'd like. The approximate cost for the switch in the uniform is approximately $185,000. We're working with the County Department of Sustainability to determine how best to recycle and/or destroy the red uniforms. This process will incur an additional fee. On Tuesday, the jail learned the cause and manner of death for an incarcerated individual who passed away in December of 2023. The cause was the combined effects of drug intoxication, and the matter was suicide. This is the first jail death to be ruled suicide since May 2020. The jail last week completed the database conversion with OMSE program. The new updates allow our system to better interface with other applications and will enable us to integrate other software and technology applications into our system. With the primary election coming up in a few weeks, we are working with a third-party organization to promote voter education, which you heard about, with the goal to increase voter turnout. Our medication-assisted treatment and medication for opioid use disorder efforts continue as we work towards the eventual next goal of beginning methadone induction at the facility. We continue to add staff toward this end, including the hiring of more substance use recovery nurses to our healthcare team. The jail continues to look at ways to redesign our intake area to assess individuals in a more efficient, streamlined manner. As part of the Reimagining the Jail project, we're looking for ways to provide more programming and increase medical and mental health treatment availability. We continue to hold meetings as part of the request for proposal process to determine how best to increase our mental health services. This could involve hiring additional staff and also working with contractors to perform telehealth visits. We're also looking to develop a pilot incentive process for those who participate in the jail programming. We hope to continue using our programming services to develop skills in our participants to increase their marketability in the workforce upon release. There are many facets to implementing this effectively, and it is not a quick process. We want to make sure that this is a sustainable process before we implement anything. We continue to work with local community experts and collaborate on the best way to integrate an appropriate autism screening tool at the jail. Part of that is determining the best time in the process and the proper person to perform the assessment. And jail administration also met with All In Allegheny team and offered feedback and suggestions in response to the community survey. That's all I have for this evening, and I'd like to turn it over to Chief Beeson for his report.
Thank you, Warden. Good evening, Board. Staffing update, we have 24 corrections officer candidates that begin our academy on Monday, March 25th. This class will graduate on Friday, May 24th. We continue the onboarding process for the June class with 2 physical agility sessions already completed and a 3rd scheduled for April 11th. We currently have 9 males, 3 females awaiting transfer to the PA Department of Corrections. Also with 300Bs, we have 6 males, 0 females with detainers, 7 males, 0 females with open cases. The longest wait time on a 300B was received on February 23rd, and the shortest wait time is from March 19th. Currently, we have 21 federal inmates in the ACJ, 11 of which are United States Marshal holds, 10 are federal transfers for Allegheny County Court. Use of force numbers from March were 21. We had 0 individuals on a hunger strike for the reporting period. Overtime numbers were also emailed on April 1st. But to reiterate, from February 16th to March 15th, there were 2,279 total overtime shifts, 1,532 of which were filled by volunteers, and 747 of which were filled by mandated overtime. And finally, I would like to announce that Sergeant William Slabby and Physician Assistant Andrew Bell have been named the ACJ Correctional Professionals for the month of March, and we offer our congratulations to both. Deputy Clerk will continue the report.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, Board. For chaplaincy and pre-release, Ramadan began on March 10th. Chaplaincy and Trinity have been facilitating the Ramadan fast for an average of 200 individuals in the jail. Ramadan will end next week with a feast that will take place in contact visits on April 10th. This will be the jail's first communal feast since 2019. The jail also welcomed Diocese of Pittsburgh Bishop David Zubik to the jail on Holy Thursday, March 28th. Bishop Zubik held a special mass and foot washing ceremony for incarcerated individuals. It was the first time Bishop Zubik returned to the jail since 2019. The incarcerated population and staff members appreciated the opportunity to speak with the bishop and recognize his continued commitment to serving the incarcerated population. We would like to extend our congratulations to the 19 HOPE participants who graduated from the HOPE program yesterday. A live violinist attended and performed at the graduation ceremony. HOPE program participants created a happiness wall on the HOPE pod. The wall contains messages of joy and happiness that were written by both participants and jail employees. The wall serves as a reminder and inspiration to all to stay motivated and focused to achieve goals. The Foundation of Hope has an upcoming volunteer training. Anyone interested in volunteering with the Foundation of Hope should visit thefoundationofhope.org to complete a volunteer application. Discharge and release. The Discharge and Release Center assessed 351 individuals and distributed 69 boxes of Narcan, 107 fentanyl and xylazine test strips, 697 condoms, and 405 bus tickets in the month of March. The DRC continues to make referrals and connect individuals to services in the community. Contact visits. The jail is continuing to host contact visits for juveniles, incarcerated workers, veterans, and program participants on designated Saturdays throughout the month. For the month of March, a total of 87 incarcerated individuals received contact visits from a total of 154 family members. Residential Placement Services. Based on orders from the court, Residential Placement Services facilitated the transfer of 60 individuals to alternative housing in March and 16 individuals to substance use treatment through the diversion program. The diversion program received 31 new referrals and served a total of 78 participants in the month of March. The Medical Assistance Program assisted a total of 116 individuals with completing medical assistance applications upon release from the jail in the month of March. Reentry services. Trinity Food Services began Serve Safe training yesterday with the kitchen workers. The Serve Safe program teaches Department of Health required food handling and safety regulations. At the conclusion of the class, participants will take a test to become Serve Safe certified. This certification can be utilized to obtain employment in food services post-release. Educational services. In preparation for the upcoming primary election on April 23rd, the caseworker team has been collecting voter registration forms and absentee ballot applications. Registration forms will be collected until the deadline on April 8th, and absentee ballot will be collected until April 16th. The jail began providing voter registration and absentee ballot forms at the beginning of March. In addition to voter education information being placed onto the tablets, the jail was excited to host the Black Political Empowerment Project today, who came into the jail to assist the caseworker team in encouraging voter participation and registration. On March 13th, Leon Ford from the HERE Foundation visited the jail as a guest speaker. He spoke with individuals on the juvenile and HOPE pods. The HERE Foundation's mission is gun violence reduction, trauma education, and workforce development. Mr. Ford shared his story of adversity and success. Participants were very engaged in the presentations and were grateful that he extended his time once again to come to the jail and provide support to the incarcerated population. That concludes this month's report for programs. Ms. Kohler will provide the healthcare services update.
Good evening, Board. For healthcare report, March 2024 data. The medication-assisted treatment for substance use disorder, 30 individual prescribed oral naltrexone, 3 individuals receiving Vivitrol injections prior to community release, 282 individuals treated with Suboxone, 30 individuals treated with Sublocade, and 12 individuals transitioned from Suboxone to Sublocade. 48 individuals continued methadone services. Torrance State Hospital, 7 patients transferred to Torrance, and there were 7 patients committed to Torrance. 9 patients had a rescinded commitment due to clinical stability. 30 patients awaiting admissions with the longest wait since October 4th, 2023. Tier 4 and 5 mental health tier system. 25 individuals were identified for Tier 4. 4 individuals were identified for Tier 5. Sick call request data for 4/2/2024. 51 medical sick calls completed. 35 sick calls scheduled with the longest wait time of 6 days. 20 mental health sick calls completed. 6 sick calls scheduled with the longest wait time of 3 days. 33 psychiatrist appointments completed. 63 appointments scheduled with the longest wait time of 12 days. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, I have a few questions about the programs and services. It says that there were no NA programs at all. Is there a reason for that? I know a while ago a public commenter came and said that they have an NA service that they could offer to the jail, but how come no services happen?
We have been trying to get NA services in the jail. We've reached out to numerous people to do so. We have not received any jail clearance requests to do those services. So if anyone's interested in doing that and would like to reach out to me, I'd be happy to give them the clearance forms and we can have them come in. We've greatly expanded our AA services and we've gotten a lot of support from AA, but we haven't received any recent requests for NA.
Okay, thank you. Another question is about the religious services. It says there were no meetings for Buddhists, Jewish people, or Native Americans. Does that suggest that these people are not in the jail, or there isn't anyone available to conduct that service?
Defer to Reverend Dr. Howe for that answer.
Because of low numbers of some of our smaller religious groups, they tend to be served more one-on-one by some of our chaplains that come in from those particular groups. So we do have some meditation groups that meet that a lot of our Buddhist inmates participate in, but a lot of them receive their care just through one-on-one. We do have an active Jewish and Buddhist volunteer group, both that come in. We work through the Aleph Institute in Squirrel Hill for our Jewish services, and we have some other folks that come in as well for some of those smaller groups. And if ever there's anyone from any of those groups that is interested in learning how to volunteer to provide those services, they can reach out to me anytime. I'll walk them through the process.
Thank you. Another question I have is about the indigent people receiving care packages. That's something I actually didn't know about. Can you explain how somebody can get the package and what the package consists of?
Yeah, I'm going to have one for you too. You can have
I'll just hang out here for a minute, that's fine. The care packages are something that the chaplain's office sends out to individuals when we are made known by the cashier's office that there's someone that has had no money on their books for over 30 days. So we've seen a dramatic drop in the number of those we've needed to send out since the board has been sending the $125 a month to individuals. That used to be a far higher number that we sent out every month, and now it's usually less than 10.
All right. Thank you.
Can I ask a couple of
Yeah.
questions? So my first question is, if we give $125 every month, how does anybody have $0 for 30 days?
That's an excellent question. I think that it happens because it doesn't always go into their account on the same day each month. So sometimes it's slightly more than 30 days between those deposits.
Okay. And what is in that package?
It usually contains a notepad, a pen, 1 or 2 hygiene items. I think there's always a bar of soap in it. I know my assistant has the full list of everything that's in there. There's a comb and a calendar and a couple of other things. It's very similar to the holiday gift package we give out in December.
Okay. I've seen those before have like shampoo, conditioner, thermals. Is that in this?
The general care packages don't usually have thermals in them, but they do have something like shampoo or conditioner.
Okay.
Yeah, body wash.
Okay. My other question, following up on Manny's question, is he asked about the 3, which I also thought was a little weird that Native American was included under religious services. Can you speak a little bit to, like, is that a religion that's recognized?
So yes, but it's a very broad group of folks. So again, that's people we tend to work with one-on-one to see what their specific religious needs are. Generally, they're working with an outside religious advisor.
Okay, but you mentioned that there wasn't groups, but that there was one-on-one, but for the same ones that he mentioned, Jehovah's Witness, Jewish, and Native American, it doesn't say that there was anything. It's zeros all across the board, not just no groups.
Sometimes when we're working with volunteers, we struggle to get accurate numbers reported in from them, but we do have, and our Jehovah's Witness volunteers have just been cleared to come back in again. We've been working to get them back in, so that might be from the previous month before they were in.
Have you identified any way to improve the accuracy of the numbers that are reported?
We're working on that, yeah. We're working on new systems to get our volunteers to sign in better.
Okay, and then another thing that I had that I think I was pointed that you may be able to help, I had a person who really needs a Spanish to English dictionary, and I know you have some. Right? Is it you that have some in the chaplain's
That would
office?
probably be through the caseworkers.
Oh, that's the caseworkers. So do not ask you for a person who needs one.
Correct. We
Okay.
do not have those in our office.
Okay. Cool. Can you speak to what's in the Ramadan feast?
Rocco, unfortunately, is not still here. I know we talked about that today, and he has the menu. We could get it.
Can you? Yeah. Can you get that to us? That's all I have for you specifically, if anyone else has questions for you.
Yeah, one last thing regarding like the Ramadan feast and the meals. Was there an imam that was like a consultant?
Yes, we do have one who is on our staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question. It might be for you, but might not. I was contacted by a community member who wishes to get married to an incarcerated individual. Years ago, I did this where the arrangement was you had to have someone from the Allegheny County Marriage Bureau meet in the, schedule that visit together with an attorney. Only an attorney could come in with that person to do it. And then there was a new arrangement. Are marriages being performed, or does anyone know? I'm interested in how we could make it an easier process for people who want to get married at the jail. Any thoughts on that or information about that?
So that does not go through our office. Our involvement in that is to refer people how to do that, since it is a legal process and not a religious process. Yeah.
There is a process for it, but I don't have it in front of me, and I don't want to misspeak to it. It's changed several times over the last couple of years, so I can follow up with the board, Ms. Griffin, but I don't want to misspeak. And the last I knew, the marriages were actually handled over at the municipal court building, but how that gets in place, I'll follow up. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Cool question.
Anybody else?
I don't have any more for the chaplain, but I have more questions,
Okay, thank you.
generally. Thank you very much, though. Thanks. Oh, okay, go ahead, sorry. I didn't want to step on your toes.
Okay, I have a question about the use of force report. I think it's like 20 times, unless I'm wrong, it says control techniques. Some other places it says a taser was used, but what exactly does control techniques mean?
So, Mr. Nasir, those definitions are contained in our use of force policy, which is one of the policies we can't release in a public forum because we need to maintain the integrity of those policies. Okay, so if you'd like to discuss those at the jail or in a private setting, we can absolutely go through those.
All right, I got you. And what's the name of the policy again, please?
207, use of force.
Thank you.
May I?
Oh, okay, one last question. It's related to the uses of force. We talked a little bit earlier about Garcia and the training that he conducted or didn't, but we know that there were like some weapons that was a part of that training, and some of those weapons remain in the jail. Is there an update on whether or not we can get those weapons out of the jail, or are those weapons being used currently?
Again, that's one of the topics that we can't discuss in this forum.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Mr. Nasir asked about what we talked about in the January meeting about that, to get the seesaw weapons and stuff out of the jail. And they said that they were doing that, and they said that now that they can't talk about that. in the
What
public
was
forum.
the specific question?
The shotguns.
Are there shotguns in the jail?
update.
Well, yeah, we know they're there. We want like an update on getting them out.
Is it your position that that would need to be addressed in executive session?
It is, Your Honor.
Okay, well, let's just have an executive session. We're going to have one anyway, so we'll address it when we're in there.
Today?
Yeah, today. Anything else? Okay. Mr. Perkins?
Nope.
Ms. Howell?
I have just a few. So the first thing is about the Spanish to English dictionary. Who can I give somebody's name to?
To me.
Awesome. Can I give you that before we leave today?
Please.
Thank you very, very much. The next thing is, when we were at the jail, what was that, a week ago or something? We got a lot of complaints from folks on 8E about not being able to clean the cells like you do on all the other pods. So they were told that they get, like they're basically using whatever they can find because I was told that they are not allowed to get cell cleanings in the same way that the rest of the jail is. And so I was just wondering if we could change that, please, because a lot of them complained, I mean, they're spending all their time in the cell. Can we make it that?
Yeah, well, I will take a look at that, and they should be able to clean their cells with cleaning supplies, and then there's accountability for that, so.
Yeah, and specifically 8E, because I was told that that is treated differently than the rest of the jail. If you could please just make it the same as every other pod, I would really
I
appreciate it.
don't know if I'll be able to make it the same, but
Or
Close.
provide an
pretty close,
explanation
sure.
for why it's
Yeah,
not.
or what we're doing to improve it or anything, just any, explanation about it, because I mean, I did see some of the cells were dingier compared to the other pods.
yeah, we're still trying to make sure that everything's taken care of and painted and.
Yeah. This is more like dirty there,
Sure.
and I even
Cleaning
asked
supplies.
some of the folks, who were on the pod about access to supplies, because I remember one of their concerns is people going into their cell. And so I was just, again, an update on how we can get it more in line with the rest of the jail, I guess is my question. My next question is about, does anyone who is not the chaplain know what is in the Ramadan feast? You spoke about it, Ms. Clark. Do you have any information on what that feast looks like? I know you gave the date in the room it'll be held in, but is there any other information about it?
No, I don't have the menu with me today.
Okay. Can you send that to us, please, just so we can see what it is? The next question is about a response time for grievances and appeals. I had heard from folks who say that it takes a long time to get a response back from a grievance, same with an appeal to a grievance, and I was just wondering you sent the form, which was helpful, but is there a set, we always respond to grievances within 72 hours or 7 days? Is that a policy that you can tell me a little bit more about?
Are you talking about general complaints or disciplinary appeals?
No, I mean, in general grievances that are filed.
Yeah,
So I file a grievance and I say, hey, the medical staff didn't help me when I asked them to, or hey, this guard hurt me. How long do you have to respond?
Again, I don't want to misspeak, but I believe it's 15 days we have to respond to that.
Okay.
The jail administration actively looks through those queues to see if there's anything that's getting backed up or overdue, and then we follow up with those particular groups. Okay.
Okay, and then if you respond, like I'd seen on a couple people's tablet, like getting a response to a grievance saying like, this isn't an issue. Is there like an appeal process to a grievance?
There is an appeal process. Yeah.
There is. And what is the timeline on that?
I'd have to look. I don't know.
Okay.
OMS has the time frame set in it, and we get an alert when it's getting close to being expired. So.
Another thing was, I really wish I could remember that exact date. You had that list. Do you still have that? Is this the same notebook? Do you have that list of the last time we went to the jail? The date and time?
No, sorry.
It was like last Tuesday, maybe. And the OMS system was down in the whole jail. What was it, Tuesday, Wednesday? Last Wednesday. We went at probably like 6-ish in the evening, and the OMS system was down in the jail. So like usually we go into the staff entrance, and they give us a list of, you know, here's the people that we were asked to go visit. They give us a list of every pod that they're on, and no one was able to tell us until the very end of our visit when it seemingly came back up. And we were told that the jail was on lockdown for 2 days because OMS was down. And so I'm not asking if that's true because I saw that with my own eyes. I'm more asking if there was any reason why nobody told the Jail Oversight Board that OMS was down for 2 days.
Well, real quick, can you explain what OMS is, please?
The offender management system. And I can't speak to that, but the system was down due to the upgrade that the warden spoke to. As you go through any IT process, migrating from one system to the other, there are unforeseen circumstances. So as they occurred, we tried to expedite and get the system back on. I believe the system did come back up, so it was not down for that entire period of time. It came back, I think.
It came back while we were there, like that night.
I understand.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the system was online for a bit of time, and then we addressed other issues that are identified, but it was completely part of the upgrade of the system, and we took appropriate safety and security precautions while that system was being upgraded.
No, I'm not doubting any of that. What I am asking is, because it is such a security issue when OMS is down, is there a reason that the Jail Oversight Board was not notified that that system was down? We would not have known if it wasn't for the fact that we went for an inspection because we were told the jail was locked down for 2 days due to that system being down. Why was the Jail Oversight Board not notified is my question.
We've had the system, we take the system offline on a frequency basis for maintenance. So I think it was just as our normal business.
So you knew it was going to be down?
We have planned outages, and so yes, we did because it was a planned upgrade.
Okay, so even more so, why did the board not know?
I think because it's our normal business practice when we take the system down for normal maintenance, we don't make that notification. So in this place, we are following our normal business practice whenever we're handling that system or any of our systems.
Sure, I would like to request, unless any of the board has any objections, that we are notified. Again, that is how we know. For anybody that doesn't know, OMS is like what tells you where each person is in the jail, what pod they're housed on, if they're in the jail or not, what their status is, what their charges are. It's basically like the population, I don't know, what would you call it? Like a CRM, but for incarcerated people. And so, does anybody have any objections to us being notified when OMS is going to go down?
You mean every single time it's down?
I mean, what do we do with that information?
Well, it means that there's no way to look up incarcerated people's records. It means if you go to the jail, you cannot find where anybody is. There's no way to know who's in there and who's not. It's a pretty serious security issue, which is why they take extra security measures when it's down. And so I would just like us to know when that happens so that we can beware.
I don't know that, what action would we be taking upon that?
What would we do with the information?
That's what my point is like what?
Well, they lock down the jail when it happens because they are unable to keep record of where each person is. So I would like to know.
And they'd essentially be advising us of a lockdown, not necessarily advising us about, I get noticed when it's down, we get noticed because we use it.
Can you share that with the rest of the board then?
I mean, what's the point?
The jail gets locked down when OMS is down.
Ultimately, what you want to know is that the jail is locked down. That's a whole different thing. But knowing OMS is down doesn't.
I would like to
tell us
know that
really
the jail is locked down because OMS is down. And if I know when OMS is down, then I know that the jail is locked down.
Just don't know that.
Would a report, like a regular report, be okay, or? I'm just not sure. I mean, I don't have any problem with getting the information, but I'm just not sure exactly what I would do with it, except to know that it happened, and maybe that could be done as part of another report or something.
Well, I have never seen on a lockdown report, and anybody else who has can correct me, I have never seen a lockdown report that says the jail is locked down due to OMS being down. And so I would very much like to know that. Is it staffing? Is it a security threat? Is it OMS is down?
Okay,
I think it should just be part of their regular
You put in your
monthly
lockdown report that when OMS is down, is that in there? It's not in there.
It's not when it's down, but it's listed under the lockdown of safety and security.
Okay, so it
doesn't
is
say
in the
OMS.
report, it's just not, okay,
Correct.
so can you, whenever it is OMS is down, can you add that notation to your current report that you already give us?
Or if that was the reason for it, if you could just include it. But otherwise, I think just giving us a notice doesn't.
Yeah, I mainly want to know OMS is down, so the jail is locking down, and not have to wait till a month after for it happened. But the amendments that we just made to the monthly warden's report would actually give us detailed information about the lockdowns. So I think that should be helpful.
Okay, all right, so
Yeah.
that's not a problem. I think that would be pretty easy for you all to do. Is that accurate? Okay.
Thank you.
Done.
Next thing is, during that same time frame, again, was not notified as a member of the Jail Oversight Board, but, and it, again, also, to be clear, since I sense a lot of defensiveness, was not the jail's fault that GTL was down for a week. For a whole week, the only reason I found out is because I went into the jail to put cash on the cash machine, and they were not accepting any deposits onto the commissary and phone accounts. I was informed that it wasn't just the kiosk that was down, but also you couldn't put any deposits on online. So there were, I mean, just in the short time I was in there were tons of people coming through trying to put money on their loved ones' books, and they couldn't. And they were told they also couldn't do it online. So for an entire week, nobody was able to get any money whatsoever. And the jail didn't get any heads up, but they did know that it happened and when it was going to end. And I want to know about stuff like that to tell people, hey, if there's a planned service, which I don't believe this one was, but if there's a planned outage of GTL in that capacity, I would like us to know so we can tell people, hey, put money on your loved one's books now. You're not going to be able to do it for a week. But in general, I just am trying to make a more open line of communication between the jail and us. And I think that that is a very significant thing that happened that I still to this day would not have known if I didn't walk into the lobby of the jail to try to put cash on somebody's books. So I would ask that that happens going forward. And two, why were we not told this time?
So GTL Viapath, the vendor that handles the accounts, is also our OMS vendor. So that outage was directly linked to the OMS outage that affected that system. It affected our Renovo system. It handles the social visits. So that's why that other, when OMS went down, it affected other systems as well. So it was all linked together.
I understand that, yeah. Even though they were two different time frames. OMS was not down for a whole week like GTL money deposits was down.
Yeah, two different outages. One was planned, one was.
Okay, yeah. Can we know about that kind of stuff? Like, that's what I'm talking about. When something significant happens in general, I think that's what we've been arguing on this board for so many years now. When something significant, something out of the ordinary, something of concern happens, this board should know about it, and it shouldn't be an accident when we find out about it and to come to you after asking why we weren't informed.
Okay, so not necessarily if there's an outage for an hour are you requesting notice, but...
Unless it's a planned outage. If it's going to be an hour planned outage, sure.
I mean, how often are there planned outages? Is it irregular, frequent?
Just like any computer system, there's monthly patches put on the system. We try to do it in non-business hours, but if a patch has to be placed, the system will be taken offline.
And that happens monthly?
If the vendor or the server sends out a patch, it's however the company notifies us that they have to push something through. It's just like if you have Office 365 and you have to update your servers, it's, we're beholden to whatever upgrades or security things are in place.
So basically when Yins know, I think we should know, is what I'm asking for.
And hold on, just for like clarification, every time OMS is down, GTL is also down?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But they can be because it's the same vendor, right?
Yeah, I just want to know about this stuff. That is all I'm asking for is information. There were people that I talked to who had come in from like far away to come and put money on their loved ones' books because they thought just the online system's down. So I'm going to go all the way downtown to put money on the books. There was no way to know that. And they were pretty upset.
Well, maybe it should really be posted on the ACJ website.
When they send it to us, I would like that too.
Okay,
that they post it.
so that the public knows, oh, I'm not going to come down there. It'd be a wasted trip. I mean, that might be a better idea.
Well, and tell us.
And tell us. But I mean, the main reason you want to know is so you can tell people.
Exactly. That is exactly why I want to know.
Not everybody calls you who goes down to the jail.
Yeah, if only.
Could you put it on your website? I don't, I'm not saying if it goes down for 15 minutes, okay? But, if it's going to be.
If we know something's going to be down for a long period of time, then yes, we should notify. We're notifying the incarcerated individuals. We're trying to notify the public, so yes.
Okay, could we start
Going
doing
forward, you will
that?
tell us that stuff?
Yes, if it's down for, I don't know, a few hours, then most likely we won't put something out.
How about
but
like 12 hours
if
or
it's-
longer?
Yes,
Okay,
if it's
how
going to
about-
be out for a considerable amount of time, if it's planned, then we'll get that information out.
Okay, 12 hours or longer. Is there a motion to that effect?
I would
There is a
motion for that and ask for a
Is there a
second.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. My next question is about, so I spoke with an incarcerated individual who was getting, and this is a question for you. I don't know if this, to be clear, if it was Suboxone, Subutex, but he was getting an oral MOUD, okay? He was caught, again, it must be Suboxone because the reason that he was cheeking it was because he was getting too much at night and then getting sick during the day. So he was saving half of his dose to use later in the day when he was going to get sick, 12 hours later, okay? He got caught cheeking his medication, and then he was, according to him, forced to switch to the shot, which is, I'm guessing he's referencing the Vivitrol shot. Oh, it's Sublocade is what the shot is? Okay. Is that just generic Vivitrol? I thought Sublocade was in your mouth. That Subutex is in your mouth.
Thank you.
Okay. So he said that he was switched to Sublocade after getting caught cheeking his Suboxone. And so I was just wondering, I thought we had talked before about there not being punishment of messing with their prescription. And so I was just wondering if you could speak to that.
Generally, the incarcerated individual that was diverting, they would be sent to a committee, the name, so that they can have an investigation and then a chat with the patient so that they can assess what do we need to do for the next step. So they are not automatically taking off the drug or switched.
So he very much did not want to be taken off the drug, and he told me that at that meeting that you're referencing, that he was told that he could either switch to the shot or he put it threatened with a taper of his Suboxone. And so, is that an option that is given? You either get your dosage tapered?
Depending on the situation, and we would have to know who it is and do a specific
I can give you that after this meeting.
But yeah. So that we
He's
could find out
complaining the
what-
shot is hurting him. It's not working for him, and it was like a one-time thing. He got caught in cheeking it because, again, he was getting really high at nighttime from the full Suboxone dose at once, and then was feeling really crappy by dinner time the next day. And so this was his solution to our, middle of the night Suboxone dosing.
Yeah, we don't promote self-medicating.
I understand, but it's not being remedied, so I understand why.
If you can give me the name after?
Yeah, I will definitely give you his name after. If you could please work to get him off that shot. It's not working for him, and I just want to make sure we're really setting people up for success, especially when they leave the jail, so he can continue his maintenance program.
Absolutely, let's set a patient up for success.
Okay, yes. And in general, can we make sure that no one is being threatened, either you taper or you switch meds? Because to me, that's the same as just unilaterally switching their meds. He said specifically that if I didn't sign the paper for the Sublocade, I was threatened with a taper. So can we just make sure that's not happening?
Yeah,
Okay.
language is important.
Language is very, very important, yes. So I just want to make sure, even if he was not explicitly told that, he very much took it as that's what he was being told.
Okay.
And a taper is a threat. That does suck. You're used to this dosage. Some people stay on a dosage for a really, really long time of MOUD. And so a taper is a pretty scary thing to go through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for advocating.
Yeah.
And we'll continue working.
Thank you. And is there any update on trying to make Suboxone not at 3 in the morning? Is there anything going on with that?
Absolutely.
Cool. What?
All the wonderful things that, thank you for remembering, that we had to address. There's about 10 of them. There's maybe 6 correctional items that we have to address and medical items. So there was discussion, there is planning, there is hiring and orientation, so that it was agreed that every item that I expressed 2 months ago are important, and we must come to an understanding of how to successfully come over those barriers so that we can deliver the medication at a better time. So yes, it is happening, and we meet, I can't say regularly, but we every week work on those issues so that we can eventually move that time.
Yeah, because I'm just, a little confused about it, because from all accounts that I have heard outside of these meetings is the rationale has been because you need an additional guard or somebody to escort, or sergeant, I forget exactly who, but to be there to watch the dosing. And then I have been told that on numerous occasions there actually isn't that person there anyways. And also that we're spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars in overtime in having that person there watching. And so I'm wondering, is there not a better solution, even if it's like having a pod specifically, like the one pod that's like everybody's on Suboxone on this pod?
That would be nice. We do have a pod that has the most.
Right.
But it's not possible to have everybody
But
on
could we have
one
multiple Suboxone pods? We really have to stop this. I want to make this a priority. I know everything that we talk about here is so important, but this really needs to be a priority because, again, we're talking about people's medication. And I'm just really worried, again, that there are other people like this gentleman that I spoke with who are getting sick in the middle of the day unnecessarily because of staffing issues, and that it's costing us a lot.
I wouldn't say staffing issues. There's a lot of issues. And I can remind you, because I did bring it again, the recreation, we don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
The meals, the count time, programming, incarcerated individuals' work schedules in court, and safety and security. Those are the corrections that we must abide by. And that's probably, some of those is in the overtime. I don't know that it's $100,000 worth of overtime, but doing it at night, you need less people. So the specialized medication administration protocol for observation, that's for minimizing your diversion, like we just talked about, and minimizing distractions from the patients while we deliver. And we need the time for absorption, and we also need to have a standard time so that we can avoid that chance of symptoms of withdrawal.
But am I wrong in thinking that it could, like the person who is passing out the medications, the regular medications, could also be passing out MOUD?
Well, see, we're talking about sort of apples and oranges. If you're passing out regular medication, you're not having to do the diversion or the absorption or the specific timing. Those things don't happen. And you can come, get your medication, your water, take it and go. And
You don't
it's like
check
this
for
fast.
diversion for any other meds besides MOUD? Because, I remember my mouth being checked.
Swallow, open, and go. You know what I
You
mean? It's
don't-
not an absorption.
I know it's not absorption,
a
but-
powder. It's not.
But you're not checking for diversion?
It's quick.
On other medications, or you are?
The diversion look, when you take the medication, you take the water, open your mouth. That's it. When you do it
So it's the
for-
absorption specifically?
Yeah, so is it on the tongue? Is it still in the mouth? Open, that takes longer.
Right. I just feel like it's something that could be solved more quickly than it is, even if it is whoever is doing the night shift, the corrections officer who is walking around with them to watch that. Couldn't you just have these folks move over here, everybody gets their meds all at once, all of their meds, and then these folks go over here and are watched? There has to be something that we could do now, even if it's not the most ideal. We have to do this really, 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 really soon, and we've been talking for months about it.
I hear you, and I appreciate your passion about it, but we need to do it the right way.
I just want it to be everyone's passion.
We need to do the right way. It's the right people's passion, yours, mine, and the people that work on this issue. I believe it's going to happen. It just can't happen tomorrow.
Okay. That is, I think, all that I have. That's all I got.
Well, one last question. It's related. Who makes the ultimate decision, regarding a person's care? Is that a medical decision, or is that like a correctional decision?
A treatment plan, if you're asking about medical care, would be a provider. So that would be a physician assistant, a nurse practitioner, or an MD would make those decisions. And then the medical staff would carry those out.
Thank you.
Sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Inamorata. Why don't we go into executive session very quickly to discuss the use of force and the 5 specific cases?
Do you want to adjourn and then we can just hang on that?
Yeah, we don't need.
We don't need to.
Oh, okay, so let's adjourn, go, and then we can leave after our executive
Can we adjourn the
session.
meeting? I thought we had to, like, pause it because the meeting isn't over.
Well, it's, everyone went through everything, if anyone's ever.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought an executive session had to be in the minutes.
No, I thought that.
No, it doesn't.
If we didn't
Motion to
sunshine
adjourn.
it does.
We're not voting on anything, we're just discussing.
It's an executive session, so we're talking about things that are exempt from the sunshine law. I'm announcing,
There's a motion to adjourn,
I'm announcing,
It was
I just want
second.
to clarify.
and Kevin second.
It's been 4.
Okay, there we go.
It's a separate meeting from the regular meeting. You still have to give notice. Everything that you do inside of it is secret, but you have to give notice. That's why.
you can give notice in the meeting.